Chapter 1372. Hua Chunhua said angrily, "What's the point of treating such a black-hearted and useless son? Just let him be. It's fine even if he dies from the pain. You're so angry when you see this useless son of AB***. Hua Chunhua was worried about her son just now, but now she felt that Zhao Wenshui was not worthy of her concern. Zhao Wenshui lay on the bed and panicked. "Mom, you can't do this to me. I'm your son. If anything happens to me, you'll have to bury your son." Hua Chunhua glared at Zhao Wenshui. "You know that you'll have to bury your son? Why don't you do something serious every day? You've brought shame to our old Zhao family. Aren't you afraid that I won't be able to raise my head in front of others in the future?" "Mom?" Li Chuiying stood aside. Seeing her man like this, she felt guilty. Although she was angry when she found out that Zhao Wenshui had stolen money from their family and given it to Chen Xuanxiu, Zhao Wenshui had to be safe. She couldn't live without a man. She needed a pillar of support in the family. Otherwise, if Zhao Wenshui left, she would have a hard time in old Zhao's family in the future. "Mom, don't be angry. Tianyu's father is just immature. After what happened today, I'm sure he'll repent." Li Chuiying comforted her. Zhao Wenshui followed behind Li Chuiying and said, Yes. Mother, I will definitely change in the future. I will definitely change. Please don't argue with me." Hua Chunhua snorted. "Mom, why don't you lend me 350 copper coins to buy medicine for Tianyu's father? When Jing gets married and her in-laws send the money over, I'll return it to you immediately." Li Chuiying discussed with Hua Chunhua. Hua Chunhua thought for a while and looked at Zhao Wenshui, who was seriously injured on the bed. Finally she agreed. "Oh, okay." After all, he was her son. She felt bad that Zhao Wenshui was hurt. Hua Chunhua said and went back to her room. She took out 350 copper coins and gave it to Dr. Sunday. Wenshui's wife, "You have to remember that this money is for you, not for you." Hua Chunhua reminded them worriedly. "I know, Mom. Don't worry. I'll definitely return it to you." Wenshui. Second brother's wife, "Please take good care of second brother." After Hua Chunhua finished speaking, she went out of the third branch's room. On the other side, in the third branch's room, Zhao Ping'er was scolding Zhao Wenshui. She seemed to be fighting for Ma Xiaofeng. Zhao Yun'er looked at Zhao Ping'er as if she was looking at an idiot. Zhao Ping'er really liked to meddle in other people's business. She was really sincere to Ma Xiaofeng. After a while, seeing Zhao Tianan come back, Zhao Yun'er breathed a sigh of relief. At least this younger brother of hers was not stupid. She thought that Zhao Tianan would stay at Ma Xiaofeng's house for a while. After lunch, Zhao Yun'er went back. Zhao Yun'er didn't want to think about so many troublesome things. She felt upset when she thought about it. After returning home, Mu Lianfeng was not there. He was busy on the mountain. Zhao Yun'er stir-fried some tea. In the afternoon, Zhao Tianhu returned the donkey. Seeing that Zhao Tianhu was in a good mood, Zhao Yun'er smiled and teased, "Second cousin, how did it feel to visit your wife's house today?" Chapter 1373. What do you mean by that? Cousin, are you too shy to tell me? Facing Zhao Yun'er's question, Zhao Tianhu's face became redder. He didn't know what to say. "Little sister Yun'er, it's just like an ordinary man going to his mother-in-law's house." Zhao Tianhu mumbled in embarrassment. "They didn't give you a hard time, did they?" "Well, it's not a big deal. You just let me eat more and help me do some work, but it's not a big deal," Guning said. Hearing Zhao Tianhu's words, Guning guessed that the woman's family must be very good. "That's great. Sister Yun'er, I'll go back now." "Sure." Zhao Yun'er nodded. In the afternoon, Zhao Ping'er learned the new recipe for making breakfast from Liang Jinxiao, then she went back home. Because Ma Xiaofeng's family was in trouble, she couldn't ask Ma Xiaofeng to go with her. She drove the donkey back to her mother-in-law's village. On the way, the donkey made trouble again. Zhao Ping'er spent a lot of effort to get the donkey back. When she got home, she was exhausted and panting. Seeing Zhao Ping'er coming back, the Qin family members were all excited. Mu Chunfang came to Zhao Ping'er excitedly and asked happily, "Ping'er, how was it? Did you make a lot of money by selling breakfast on the street today?" Qin Dahai also came over and asked with a smile, "That's right. Little Ping'er, you only came back at this time. Is your business especially good? Look at you, you're so busy. Come and have a rest." Zhao Ping'er, "Thank you for your hard work today." Even Qin Yuan, who didn't like to talk to Zhao Ping'er, suddenly felt a little guilty. The more the Qin family members acted like this, the more uncomfortable Zhao Ping'er felt. She didn't know how to respond to the Qin family members. "What's wrong, Ping'er? Are you so tired that you can't even talk?" Mu Chunfang muttered. Seeing the sweat on Zhao Pinger's forehead, he didn't say anything. Zhao Pinger pursed her lips and answered, "Yes, I'm quite tired." She almost fainted from dragging the donkey along the way. Mu Chunfang hurriedly called out to Qin Yuan, "Yuan, look at you. Why are you still in a daze? Hurry up and pour some water for your wife. Look at how dry her mouth is." Qin Yuan answered and hurriedly ran into the house to pour a glass of water. "Come on, Pinger. Have some water first." Qin Yuan handed the glass in his hand to her. "Thank you, brother Yuan." Zhao Pinger thanked him. After drinking the glass of cold water, Zhao Pinger felt much better. She let out a long sigh of relief. "Pinger, hurry up and say something. Don't keep silent. I'm so anxious." Mu Chunfang urged impatiently. Zhao Pinger replied nervously, "Well, Mom, the business today isn't very good. It's my first day doing business. People don't even know about my stall." "What? Business isn't very good?" Chapter 1374. Mu Chunfang was silent for a while. He felt that what Zhao Pinger said made sense. Who would buy breakfast from a stall that they didn't even know existed? Mu Chunfang's originally very ugly complexion suddenly improved a lot. Seeing Mu Chunfang like this, Zhao Pinger felt relieved. What she was most afraid of was Mu Chunfang scolding her. Thinking of Mu Chunfang's scolding, Zhao Pinger couldn't help but tremble. Mu Chunfang frowned and seemed a little worried. "Pinger, it's okay that the business isn't good now, but will it be good in the future? It won't be like what it is now, right?" Well, Zhao Pinger thought for a while. In fact, she wasn't sure whether it would be good or not, but she had to calm Mu Chunfang down first. If Mu Chunfang kept nagging in her ear, she would feel annoyed. "Mom, it will definitely be good in the future. Do you still need to think about it? When more people eat here in the future, there will definitely be more repeat customers. Not to mention that Yuner's business is so good, it should be 50% of her business. We can make a lot of money in a day." Mu Chunfang nodded in agreement. The stone in his heart was put down. After all, what Zhao Pinger said was the truth. In business, one had to take it slow and accumulate customers. It couldn't be rushed. "Pinger, you have to do well in the future. Our family Qin's capital has been invested. You can't lose money." Mu Chunfang reminded her. "Yes, Mom, I know." "That's good. By the way, your business isn't very good. Why did you come back so late? Where did you go?" "Mom, I went back to my mother's house." "All right then." Mu Chunfang was too lazy to interfere with Zhao Pinger's return to her parents' home. Seeing that the family Qin had stopped talking about the breakfast stall, Zhao Pinger began to panic. He didn't know why, but there was always a faint sense of uneasiness in his heart, but he couldn't tell why. She was worried that the breakfast stall's business would not be good. According to the family Qin's personality, they would definitely kill her. On second thought, she felt that it shouldn't be. Zhao Yuner's business was so good. She couldn't have fallen to the point where she couldn't earn money. Over the next few days, nothing major happened. Only old Zhao's family would cause trouble from time to time. Because of the matter between Zhao Wenshui and Widow Qian, old Zhao's family was often laughed at by others. However, Zhao Pinger's business still didn't improve. Zhao Pinger and Ma Xiaofeng suddenly became anxious. The ingredients were indeed made according to Liang Jinxiao's instructions, but the taste was not right. Liang Jinxiao made it himself again. After eating it, he found that it was the same as Ma Xiaofeng's, but it couldn't reach the effect of Zhao Yuner's. They couldn't find the reason, but they couldn't ask Zhao Yuner, so they felt helpless. The breakfast they made could only be regarded as good. There was no feeling of wanting to eat the breakfast made by Zhao Yuner. Although there were more guests, the money they earned, after deducting the cost, they only earned a few dozen coins a day. Zhao Pinger and Ma Xiaofeng divided it equally. Each of them only got about 30 copper coins. At this rate, they didn't know when they would be able to recoup the money they invested. Ma Xiaofeng sighed and said to Zhao Pinger, "Sister Pinger, we can't go on like this. We can't earn so much in a day. The difference between us and your sister Yuner is too big. We're so tired every day. It's not easy." Chapter 1375. However, Ma Xiaofeng was greedy and didn't know how to be content. She hoped to make a lot of money from the very beginning. Zhao Yuner could make more than one tael of silver a day, while they could make at least 300 or 400 copper coins. 30 copper coins was nothing to them. Zhao Pinger frowned and replied, "Little Feng, you're right. Do you have a better idea?" Zhao Pinger frowned and said, "Little Feng, you're right." Ma Xiaofeng fell silent and thought for a moment. Better idea? What idea could she come up with? She wasn't good at running a business, and her idea might be worse than Zhao Pinger's. However, the business was closely related to her and it affected her income, so she had to make it better. Ping, we've done what we should do. Why don't you ask your mother to ask Zhao Yun, what her prescription is and ask her to teach us how to make it? No. Xiao Feng, you don't know, this prescription was secretly taught to me by my mother. If Zhao Yun knew about it, it would be terrible. Zhao Yun won't let me do well, so she won't agree. Zhao Ping immediately waved her hand. She didn't think Ma Xiaofeng's idea was reliable. Then what should we do? Ma Xiaofeng frowned. She seemed a little upset. Well, big sister Ping, actually I feel that you're begging your little sister Yun. You're her biological sister. Now that you haven't offended her, why is she unwilling? Xiaofeng, let's think of another way. If nothing else works, I'll beg Zhao Yun again. Zhao Ping was a little helpless. She really didn't want to beg Zhao Yun for anything. After all, she didn't like Zhao Yun showing off in front of her. She looked at Zhao Yun's expression. There was another way she would use it. If she couldn't make it in the end, she would beg Zhao Yun. At that time she really had no other choice. After all, she had invested so much money in the stall. If she couldn't get it back, she would suffer in the future. Ma Xiaofeng could only say, fine. Ping, why don't you ask your mother to help us set up the stall now? Zhao Ping looked at Ma Xiaofeng with confusion. What? Why do you call me mother? Our business is like this. We can't cope with it. Ma Xiaofeng explained to Zhao Ping, Ping, your mother helped Yun set up the stall before. Your Yun's business is so good. Many people go there every day. Your mother must be very familiar with it. If we ask your mother to help us, those old customers will think that our stall is the same stall that your Yun set up before. At that time, many people will come to buy it. Although the things we make are not as delicious as your sister Yun's, the taste is still not bad. It's not bad. After the guests eat it, they will definitely feel that it's good. Next time they will continue to buy it. Our business will gradually improve, won't it? After listening to Ma Xiaofeng's analysis, Zhao Ping felt that Ma Xiaofeng's words were very reasonable. She praised Ma Xiaofeng. Xiaofeng, what you said is very reasonable. You're amazing. When I go back, I'll talk to my mother and ask her to come to our stall tomorrow to help. Ma Xiaofeng also responded. Chapter 1376. After delivering the tea leaves, Zhao Yun first went to buy some saltpeter. Saltpeter was not uncommon in this era. Sometimes, when making explosives or mining, some saltpeter could be mined. There were saltpeter in circulation in the market. Zhao Yun quickly found it in a shop. The price was not expensive, only 10 copper coins per pack. Saltpeter was potassium nitrate. When it dissolved in water, it would absorb a lot of heat, so it could be used to make ice. However, the people of this era did not discover it. After buying the saltpeter, Zhao Yun found a cloth shop and walked in. There were a lot of thin cloth, but the most comfortable cloth to wear was still silk. However, compared to ordinary cloth, the price of silk was much higher. Zhao Yun glanced at it and weighed it in her heart. In the end, she still bought the silk. The money in her hands was not lacking. Women still had to learn to spend money for themselves and their children. Zhao Yun selected a few bolts of silk and a few bolts of thin cloth. Altogether, she spent more than 4 taels of silver. After buying the thin cloth, Zhao Yun first wanted to test the effect of the cloth. If the effect was good, she would use silk to make it. However, Zhao Yun was very clear about her needlework. Later on, she would have to consult Liang Jinxiao. After buying the things, Zhao Yun went to weigh 2 caddies of meat and then went back. On the way back, she met Zhao Ping and Ma Xiaofeng. Originally, Zhao Ping was quite satisfied with her donkey. When she went back, the donkey was normal. It did not fall ill and did not move. She had to pull it. Zhao Ping praised her donkey. Not bad, not bad. Today it did not fall ill. When I go back to my in-laws' house, you better work hard for me. As soon as she said that, she heard the sound of the donkey running behind her. Zhao Ping turned around and saw that it was Zhao Yun. Her face suddenly turned ugly. How could she be so unlucky to meet Zhao Yun? Zhao Yun curled her lips and looked at Zhao Ping jokingly. She greeted Zhao Ping, Sister Ping, what a coincidence. Why are you closing the stall so late today? Under normal circumstances, if the business was good, the things could be sold out earlier and the stall could be closed earlier. If the stall was closed late, it meant that the business was generally not good. If they waited for customers, the things would not be sold out. When Zhao Yun said that Zhao Yun was mocking her, Zhao Ping glared at Zhao Yun. What does it have to do with you? Really? Sister Ping, why are you being so rude? I just greeted you. It's not like I'm doing anything. I don't want you to greet me. Zhao Yun, aren't you just mocking my business? Why are you pretending? Zhao Yun looked at Zhao Ping'er with some amusement and said to Zhao Ping'er, Sister Ping'er, you are really interesting. I didn't mean that. Why did you say that I was mocking you? Zhao Ping'er rolled her eyes at Zhao Yun. You know clearly in your heart whether I was mocking you or not. Zhao Yun sneered, if you say so then so be it. I can't be bothered to talk to you. I'm leaving first. Zhao Yun said and patted her donkey's butt. She saw Xiao Mao fly to the front. Zhao Ping'er saw this scene and became angrier. Chapter 1377. Seeing the distance between the two donkeys widening, Zhao Ping'er suddenly became a little anxious and slapped her donkey's butt. Hurry up, hurry up. You'd better hurry up too. You're such a big donkey, how could you not be able to outrun a small donkey? Zhao Ping'er said with some disdain. After slapping her butt, Zhao Ping'er's donkey rushed out and quickly caught up with little Mao. Seeing that her donkey was so capable, Zhao Ping'er was suddenly very excited. This time she finally won back some face for her. Well done. At least I didn't let you eat grass for nothing. Zhao Ping'er praised. Ma Xiaofeng looked at Zhao Ping'er speechlessly. She didn't know what Zhao Ping'er meant by doing this. Even if Zhao Ping'er's donkey outrun Zhao Yun's donkey, so what? Zhao Ping'er didn't think so. If her donkey outrun Zhao Yun's donkey, it was a matter of face. After her donkey rushed in front of Zhao Yun's donkey, Zhao Ping'er turned around and stuck out her tongue at Zhao Yun. She said to Zhao Yun, look, your donkey isn't as good as mine. Zhao Yun looked at Zhao Ping'er like she was looking at an idiot. This woman's brain circuit was really strange. Compared to other people, this was really strange. If it's not as good, then it's not as good. Zhao Yun replied indifferently. Zhao Yun, I know you're angry but it's useless. Your donkey isn't as good as the one I bought. Zhao Yun couldn't be bothered to argue with Zhao Ping'er. She couldn't say anything to an idiot. Zhao Ping'er could say whatever she wanted. It didn't matter if her little Mao couldn't outrun anyone, as long as she felt that little Mao was good. Little Mao understood Zhao Ping'er's words and was angered by Zhao Ping'er's words. Its four legs suddenly sped up. Little Mao ran very fast and soon overtook Zhao Ping'er's donkey. Zhao Ping'er suddenly became anxious. She slapped the donkeys but a few times and urged it, hurry up and run. Hurry up and outrun little Mao or else you'll get it. Zhao Ping's donkey ran for a while, but in the end, it still couldn't outrun little Mao. Soon it was tired and panting. After running for a while it suddenly stopped and stopped running. Zhao Ping'er slapped the horses but a few more times and said to the donkey, run, why aren't you running? Hurry up and run. What are you doing? If you don't run I'll teach you a lesson. Damn donkey, you don't even listen to me. After a while, Zhao Ping'er realized that Zhao Yun's donkey had already run away, but her own donkey was still in the same place and didn't move a step. Zhao Ping'er was very angry. She felt that her donkey was doing it on purpose. Great, when she went back she would probably be laughed at by Zhao Yun. Damn donkey, useless thing. You can't even outrun a donkey smaller than you. Tell me what's the use of you? Zhao Ping'er scolded angrily. The more she thought about it, the angrier she felt. Ma Xiaofeng didn't know what to say to Zhao Ping'er. Zhao Ping'er said that she was stupid, and it wasn't without reason. She didn't fight for things that she should fight for, but liked to fight for things that she shouldn't fight for. Now great. Something happened because of the fight. Chapter 1378. Zhao Ping'er pursed her lips. Well, it was really troublesome for them to stop halfway. Zhao Ping'er tried to pull the donkey a few times, but the donkey still didn't move. It seemed that she still had to pull the donkey. Zhao Ping'er sighed. She was very tired. How could she have the strength to pull? But if she didn't pull, there was no other way. She couldn't just let the donkey rest and not move. Ma Xiaofeng saw that Zhao Ping'er was exhausted and couldn't help complaining in her heart. Why did Zhao Ping'er have to do this? If she didn't compete with Zhao Yun, she wouldn't have ended up like this. Why did she have to torture herself to make her happy? Zhao Ping'er pulled the donkey for a while. It was more difficult than usual. After a while Zhao Ping'er stopped and breathed heavily. Ma Xiaofeng didn't sympathize with Zhao Ping'er at all. She didn't come down to help Zhao Ping. After all, Zhao Ping'er deserved it. This damn donkey, does it want to go against me? I can't drag it away no matter how hard I try. Ma Xiaofeng couldn't help but say, Ping'er, don't blame the donkey. You made it run so fast just now. It must have used up all its strength. It doesn't have much strength now. That's why it's like this. Zhao Ping'er rolled her eyes and said angrily, Humph, I think it's because it doesn't live up to expectations. Why is Zhao Yun'er's Xiaoma running so fast? It doesn't use up all its strength. How can it use up all its strength? In the end, it's because it doesn't live up to expectations. It only knows how to embarrass me. Ma Xiaofeng felt that she couldn't communicate with Zhao Ping'er, so she shut her mouth and stopped talking to Zhao Ping'er. Zhao Ping'er was still struggling to pull the donkey. After pulling for a long time, she finally managed to get the donkey back. When they returned to old Zhao's house, Zhao Ping'er was already exhausted. She was sweating profusely and her back was soaked. Seeing Zhao Ping'er like this, Liang Jinxiao thought that something had happened, so he asked Zhao Ping'er, "Ping'er, what's wrong with you?" "Mother, I'm fine. I'm just too tired." "Rest if you're tired." Liang Jinxiao pulled out a stool for Zhao Ping'er to sit on and muttered, "What kind of work did you do to make you so tired?" "Mother, it's all because of my family's disappointing donkey." "Sigh, let's not talk about it." Zhao Ping'er looked at her donkey with disdain. When she made money, she would immediately change to another donkey. As for this stupid one, she would definitely stew it with donkey meat when she returned. Zhao Ping'er's donkey seemed to feel a chill and it actually let out a few whimpers. Looking at how tired Zhao Ping'er was, he guessed that Zhao Ping'er had lost a lot of weight over the past few days, probably because of the tiring work. Liang Jinxiao looked at his daughter with heartache, thinking that Zhao Ping'er really didn't have it easy doing business. "Ping'er, how's the business today? Is it okay?" Liang Jinxiao asked with concern. Zhao Ping'er sighed and replied unhappily, "Mother, don't mention it. It's not that easy to do business. It's not like I can sell it just because I want to." Liang Jinxiao responded. She had said this to Zhao Ping'er before, but at that time, Zhao Ping'er didn't listen at all. Now she was saying it herself. "Ping'er, there's no other way. Take it slow." Liang Jinxiao comforted her. Chapter 1379. What's the matter? Just tell me what you want. Don't be so polite with me. With Liang Jinxiao's words, Zhao Ping'er felt relieved. She then said to Liang Jinxiao directly, "Mom, if you're free at home, can you help me set up a breakfast stall?" Liang Jinxiao didn't agree directly. Instead, she frowned and asked, "Ping'er, is your stall too busy? Is it too busy for two people?" Zhao Ping'er shook her head and said, "Mom, it's not like that. You don't have to do anything. You just need to stand there and shout for us." The breakfast stall you and Yun set up before was very popular. Many people went there to eat. There must be a lot of old customers. If you shout for my stall, maybe many people will come. By then my stall's business will be good. Zhao Yun'er had just arrived at the courtyard of old Zhao's house when she heard Zhao Ping'er's words. With Zhao Ping'er's intelligence, it was impossible for her to think of this. It must be Ma Xiaofeng's idea. Ma Xiaofeng was very clever, so it was not surprising that she thought of this idea. Well? Liang Jinxiao hesitated all of a sudden. In fact, it was not that she had nothing to do. She had a lot of things to do. She had to deal with all the things at home. If she had time, she had to help Zhao Yun'er pack the tea. If she went to help Zhao Ping'er set up the stall, she wouldn't have time for the whole day. After that, she would be busy with the housework at home. As for Zhao Yun'er's stall, she wouldn't have time to help. Seeing Liang Jinxiao hesitating, Zhao Ping'er pulled Liang Jinxiao's hand and said coquettishly, "Mom, just agree. You can't let my stall's business go down, right? If I can't earn enough money, I'll have to suffer when I return to my in-laws' house." Liang Jinxiao's heart softened at the thought of Zhao Ping'er suffering in the family qin. Just as Liang Jinxiao was about to agree to Zhao Ping'er's request, Zhao Yun'er rushed over to Zhao Ping'er and scolded her unhappily, "Zhao Ping'er, you're already married. A married daughter is like spilled water. Why do you still ask your mother to help you every day? Do I owe you anything?" Zhao Ping'er pouted unhappily. "Zhao Yun'er, what does this have to do with you? It's mother's business whether she wants to help me or not. Didn't mother help you take care of the stall back then?" Zhao Yun'er sneered. "I paid mother's salary back then. If you can pay mother 700 to 800 copper coins a month, I certainly won't mind. I can't even earn that much money myself. Where can I get the money to pay mother so much monthly salary? So, do you want mother to help you for free?" Zhao Ping'er couldn't win against Zhao Yun'er, so she looked to Liang Jinxiao and said to Liang Jinxiao, "Mother, do you want to help me or not?" "Mother, I know you can't bear to see my business go down, right?" Seeing that Liang Jinxiao's heart was about to waver, Zhao Yun'er was very disappointed. She said to Liang Jinxiao, "Mother, if you want to help Ping'er, I won't object. However, I think we don't need to keep in touch with each other in the future. You can only stay with your daughter and forget about me." Zhao Yuner knew that Liang Jinxiao would be very sad after hearing what she said, but she had to force Liang Jinxiao. Chapter 1380. Back then, Zhao Yuner tried every possible means to get Zhao Pinger married off because she didn't want the third branch to be implicated and harmed by Zhao Pinger. But now Zhao Pinger was married off, and Liang Jinxiao was still protecting her. It was no different from before. The third branch still often subsidized Zhao Pinger. If this continued, it would be better not to get Zhao Pinger married off. She had to make Liang Jinxiao harden his heart. Although he was soft-hearted, he had to have his own principles on some matters. Hearing Zhao Yuner's words, Liang Jinxiao's eyes revealed a lot of sadness. She glanced at Zhao Yuner and sighed deeply. It wasn't that she didn't understand why Zhao Yuner was angry. She just couldn't control herself. Liang Jinxiao had to make a choice between Zhao Yuner and Zhao Pinger. Putting away the helplessness in her eyes, Liang Jinxiao hardened her heart and said to Zhao Pinger, "Pinger, I guess it's useless for me to go. At first I can get some customers to come over, but after a long time, I'm not sure if there will be any. After all, the customers will eat the taste of breakfast, not recognize me as a person." After Liang Jinxiao finished speaking, Zhao Pinger understood Liang Jinxiao's meaning. She looked at Liang Jinxiao with a displeased expression and said, "Mother, you're just biased. You only know how to be biased toward Zhao Yuner. You don't care about me at all." Zhao Yuner didn't know where Zhao Pinger got the face to say such words. She retorted, "Sister Pinger, a married daughter is like spilled water. Look at that girl. After she got married, she came home all day long, causing trouble for the family and taking advantage of the family. When you got married, I prepared a lot of dowry. I've already done my best for you." After Zhao Yuner finished speaking, Zhao Pinger was about to refute, but the rest of the old Zhao family came to the yard to help Zhao Yuner. Feng Zhangxia said, "Pinger, your sister Yuner's words are very reasonable. For those of us who have married into our in-laws, we might only be able to return home once or twice, or even twice or thrice a year. You, on the other hand, have been coming home all day after you got married. Aren't you afraid that you'll bring shame to our Zhao family?" Huo Chunhua also snorted coldly, "This Pinger girl is not a good thing. Which family's daughter always wants to help her husband's family take advantage of her mother's family? Our old Zhao family has given birth to such an ungrateful person." "Mother, you're right. Our third brother and third sister-in-law have a hard life. They treat Pinger very well. It wasn't easy for them to get her married, but now she comes back to make our third brother and third sister-in-law worry about her. This be asterisk t, we shouldn't have let her come back. Our third daughter-in-law, she's your own daughter. You have to discipline her. She comes to her own family all day long. She's not a dead man. Why should she follow the rules?" Huo Chunhua and Feng Zhangxia criticized Zhao Pinger one after another, which made her blush. Even if she was thick-skinned, she still cared about her dignity. If Zhao Yuner was the only one who said it, it wouldn't be a big deal, but Huo Chunhua and Feng Zhangxia also said it. Liang Jinxiao also blushed. Liang Jinxiao knew that Huo Chunhua and Feng Zhangxia's words weren't unreasonable. She just cared about her own daughter too much. After a moment of silence, she said to Zhao Pinger, "Pinger, if there's nothing important in the future, don't come home. Do you understand?" Zhao Pinger looked at Liang Jinxiao unwillingly. "Mother." Chapter 1381. Liang Jinxiao's tone suddenly became very serious. When Zhao Pinger saw that Liang Jinxiao had really hardened his heart, she suddenly felt very disappointed. Zhao Pinger responded to the people in the courtyard, feeling wronged. Okay. If she didn't want to come back, so be it. Did she really care too much about it? After Zhao Pinger responded, she angrily pulled her donkey and left. Looking at Zhao Pinger's back, Huo Chunhua muttered, "Third daughter-in-law, look at your good daughter. What kind of temper is she? Look at her attitude. Does she think that she's in the right? She's really outrageous." Liang Jinxiao felt uncomfortable in her heart, so she only responded with a faint sound. Zhao Yuner was still a little disappointed with Liang Jinxiao, so she ignored Liang Jinxiao. For lunch, Zhao Yuner did not help the third branch cook. She went back to eat alone. It was necessary to leave Liang Jinxiao alone for a few days to let Liang Jinxiao know that she was wrong. After lunch, Zhao Yuner began to experiment with making ice. Mu Lianfeng and Dao De happened to be there. When they heard Zhao Yuner talking about making ice, Mu Lianfeng and Dao De were very curious. What kind of method was it to make ice? How could she make ice cubes in the middle of summer? Wasn't it only possible to make ice cubes in winter? When the father and son were curious, their expressions were exactly the same. They both looked a little silly. When Zhao Yun saw this, she suddenly laughed. Mu Lianfeng asked Zhao Yun in confusion, Yun is there something on your face? Otherwise, why are you laughing? No, I just think that you're cute. So silly and cute. Just like Dao. Cute? Dazed? Mu Lianfeng muttered, what's this? Zhao Yun waved her hand and said, these two words don't exist in your era. Well, they are used to describe people who are very cute. Mu Lianfeng, if you don't understand, just look at Daodu's current appearance and you'll understand. Mu Lianfeng glanced at Daodu. When he saw Daodu's big eyes twinkling and his little face pink and cute, he said, Yuner, I think I understand what you mean by adorable. But if Daodu can be like this, can I be like this too? He was a mature man, not a child. How could he be like Daodu? Zhao Yuner must have made a mistake. Zhao Yuner chuckled, of course Daodu is a little child and you're a big child. Both of you are adorable. Mu Lianfeng couldn't help but lightly tap Zhao Yuner's nose and said to Zhao Yuner, if you say that I'm adorable, then you're adorable too. Zhao Yuner smiled. She and adorable had nothing to do with each other, so she knew very well in her heart. Okay, let's start making ice. It's time to witness a miracle. As Zhao Yuner spoke, she got some saltpeter and some water and poured it into the saltpeter. Slowly, the water in the basin gradually cooled down. The originally normal water began to emit cold air. First, a thin layer of ice formed on the top, then the ice became thicker and thicker. In the end, the water in the basin turned into ice. Throughout the entire process, Mu Lianfeng and Daodu held their breaths as they watched. They felt that it was too magical. It was actually made into ice. Chapter 1382. Mother. It's really turned into ice. Mother, it's amazing. Daodu's big round eyes stared at the ice in the wooden basin, his face full of curiosity. It was as if he had seen something amazing. Even Mu Lianfeng, who was usually relatively calm, couldn't help but sigh in his heart when he saw the scene in front of him. How could there be such a magical operation? How did she do it? Yun, the water has turned into ice. Mu Lianfeng said with a smile on his face. Zhao Yun smiled and nodded. Yes. The ice in the wooden basin was very thick. Zhao Yun put her hand on it. It was ice cold and very comfortable. This kind of weather was better. When it was really summer, some cold drinks like iced sour plum juice or iced mung bean soup would probably be very refreshing. Just thinking about it made her feel very excited. Zhao Yun took a hammer and broke the thick ice in the wooden basin. Come, each of you have one. Take it and play with it. Zhao Yun handed a piece of ice to the two of them. Mu Lianfeng and Daodu held the ice in their hands and suddenly felt a cold feeling spread throughout their bodies. Mother, it's so cold. It's so comfortable. Haha, is it? Yes. Mother, can Daodu try it? Daodu looked at Zhao Yun with anticipation. What's there to try? Mother will make some sour plum juice for you two first. Zhao Yun did as she said. Taking some time to do this was nothing. It didn't take much time. Zhao Yun quickly prepared the hawthorn and other ingredients. They were all bought in town. With Mu Lianfeng helping out, Zhao Yun worked faster. In less than an hour, the sour plum soup was ready. She added some ice cubes into it, and it immediately became ice cold. Sour plum juice quenched thirst, so even if it wasn't used in summer, it should be very comfortable to drink iced sour plum juice in this kind of weather. Zhao Yun first filled a few bowls and handed a big bowl to Daodu and Mu Lianfeng. Here, try it. Daodu held the bowl and slurped, and in a short while, he drank the big bowl of sour plum juice into his stomach. Mother, it's delicious. It's even better than sugar water. Daodu said in a soft voice. Zhao Yun smiled and said, it's good that you like it. Mother can make it for you in the future. Yes. Daodu nodded heavily. Mu Lianfeng gracefully finished a bowl of sour plum soup. Similarly, he wasn't stingy with his praise. Yun, the taste of this sour plum soup is indeed not bad. It's very special. It's even better than the drinks I usually drink during summer. Zhao Yun curled her lips. This was natural. Because there were too few drinks that ancient people knew how to make, and very few big families would make some ice storage during the winter. Most people didn't have ice storage at home. Therefore, when it came to summer, it was naturally impossible to make ice drinks. Both of you have good taste. I'll make other delicious drinks for you later, Zhao Yun said with a smile. Both father and son nodded in response, looking very expectant. Daodu handed the small bowl to Zhao Yun and said to Zhao Yun, Mother, Daodu finished it. Can you give Daodu another bowl? Chapter 1383. Okay, mother will give Dao another bowl. But children can't drink too much or they will have a stomachache, understand? After all, a 3-year-old child's stomach had not developed well. Iced food was considered to be stimulating food. Dao had never eaten anything like popsicles or ice cream before, so if he drank too much iced sour plum soup, it would naturally be easy for him to have a stomachache. After listening to Zhao Yun'er's words, Dao seemed to be a little disappointed, but he still nodded obediently. Yes, yes, mother, Dao understands. Dao will drink a bowl. Zhao Yun'er touched Dao's head and praised, Dao is so obedient. With that, Zhao Yun'er turned around and went into the kitchen. She scooped a bowl out of the pot and added 2 ice cubes into it. Mu Lianfeng looked at Zhao Yun'er with a smile. Yun'er, children can't drink too much, but what about adults? Can they drink a little more? When Zhao Yun'er heard Mu Lianfeng's words, she couldn't help but want to laugh. The children were greedy, and now the older children were learning from the children to be greedy. Zhao Yun'er said to Mu Lianfeng in a serious manner, no, the children can't, and the older children naturally can't either. You will have a stomachache, so if you want to drink just like Dao, you can only drink 1 bowl. Okay, just 1 bowl. Zhao Yun'er touched Mu Lianfeng's head just like how she treated Dao, and praised him in the same way. Okay, good boy. Mu Lianfeng smiled helplessly. In any case, he was an heir. How could he become a childish child in front of Zhao Yun'er? However, why did he like this kind of feeling? I'll get it for you. Zhao Yun'er continued to get Mu Lianfeng a bowl. At the same time, he filled a big bowl and drank it. The heat of the afternoon immediately dissipated. There was an indescribable comfort and he felt much more energetic. If a working man were to drink this, he would probably also feel incomparably comfortable. Looking at the sun outside in the afternoon, Zhao Yun'er took a kettle and filled it with the sour plum soup in the pot. She added ice cubes and sent it to the men. When they arrived at the foundation, it was already 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and the sun was really strong. Zhao Yun'er felt that she couldn't stand it after being exposed to the sun for a while. The men who went to work had to work, even if it was under the sun they still had to work. This was how it was to work in this kind of weather. They couldn't wait for the sun to set. However, for these men who worked, this didn't seem to be much. It was only May and the weather was not so hot that it would be tragic. In ancient times, the weather in June, July, and August was during the busy farming season, and it was very hot. Even after the sun in the afternoon, the skin would hurt from the sun and they had to go out. However, they had to earn money and it might not be as profitable as working now. With such a comparison, even if they were tired, the men who went to work had no complaints. These days, nothing was easy. When Zhao Yun'er went out, the fields were also full of busy figures. She couldn't help but sympathize with the people in ancient times. In modern times, mechanized operations were much more comfortable than in ancient times. Chapter 1384. Zhao Yun'er saw a few men who were working at home. Because of the work, they were so hot that their backs were soaked. She reckoned that if they took off their clothes now and wrung them, a lot of water would come out. After being busy for a period of time, Zhao Yun'er's house finally began to take shape. The first floor had been built, and now they were waiting to build the attic designed by Zhao Yun'er. Once the attic was built and the roof was sealed, it was almost finished. It was estimated that after working for half a month, it would be almost finished. Thinking about moving into such a house before the summer heat, Zhao Yun'er was more or less happy. When Zhao Yun'er sent the sour plum soup over, she shouted, "Everyone take a break. I sent some good things over." As soon as they heard Zhao Yun'er's voice, the busy people immediately stopped what they were doing. "Little girl Yun'er, you're here? What good things did you send today?" Liang Jinhui asked. Liang Jinshun followed behind and said with a smile, "Yun'er sent it. Do you still need to say? It's definitely something good." Liang Jinshun didn't believe in Zhao Yun'er's culinary skills at first, but after this period of time, Zhao Yun'er would make some delicious food from time to time. Liang Jinshun admired Zhao Yun'er very much. It was the first time he saw a person who could make all kinds of delicious food. As Liang Jinshun spoke, he couldn't wait to go to Zhao Yun'er and ask Zhao Yun'er, "Yun'er, where is the good stuff?" Zhao Yun'er looked at Liang Jinshun and Liang Jinhui speechlessly. Among the few people who were working, only her eldest uncle and second uncle were the least enthusiastic. However, when it came to food, these 2 people were more enthusiastic than anyone else. Zhao Wenhua followed behind Liang Jinshun. He took off his straw hat and fanned himself. She said to Zhao Yun'er, "Yun'er, it's so hot. Actually, you don't have to give us anything to eat. Even if we eat now, we won't be able to swallow it. Once you get too hot, you'll lose your appetite." Guiyu Kai followed behind Zhao Wenhua and said, "Yeah, Zhao Yun, my appetite is really bad in this kind of weather. I can't even eat lunch, let alone now." Zhao Yuner smiled. "It's not food, it's drink. I promise you'll like it." When Zhao Yuner said this, the men were a little happy. "So it's a drink. It's good, it makes me feel good." Zhao Yuner took out a few cups, poured a cup of sour plum soup for each of them and handed it over. After seeing the slightly black sour plum soup, the men stared at it curiously and asked, "Yuner, what is this?" "This is sour plum soup," Zhao Yuner explained. "Sour plum soup? I've never heard of it." Liang Jinhui muttered. Liang Jinshan smiled and said, "You definitely don't know. This thing must be invented by Yuner. Most people have never drunk it before." Liang Jinshan guessed correctly this time. Zhao Yuner replied, "Yeah, I thought of making it. Take a look and see if you like it." The men took a sip and were fascinated by the sweet and sour taste. Not only was this thing delicious, but it was also very thirsty. It was a rare good thing. "Yuner, how did you do it? It's cold and it's so comfortable." Looking into Mu Lianfeng's concerned eyes, Zhao Yuner shook her head and said, "No need. I'm not tired. Rest for a while. You don't look very good." Mu Lianfeng's eyes were filled with distress. Zhao Yuner quickly touched her face and asked nervously, "Really? My face doesn't look good?" "Yes, it's a little weak and yellowish. You probably didn't rest well. You need to recuperate. Don't tire yourself out. Yuner, you're a woman. With me around, you can rely on anyone." Chapter 1386. Hearing Mu Lianfeng's sigh, Zhao Yun began to reflect on herself. Was she too independent and strong that she had hurt Mu Lianfeng's pride as a man? Thinking about it, this was a possibility. Not to mention ancient times, even in the 21st century, if a woman was too strong and did not rely on a man for anything, a man would also feel frustrated. Occasionally acting coquettishly and asking a man to do something would make him feel that he had value in his existence and would not feel frustrated. After Zhao Yuner thought of this, she smiled and said, "All right then, I'll rest for a while. Can you fan me? The weather is too hot. I'm afraid I won't be able to sleep." Mu Lianfeng's lips curled into a faint smile. "Yun, of course I can. Okay, then I'll sleep for a while." "Okay." Zhao Yun lay on the bed and Mu Lianfeng waited on her. He held the fan and the cool wind was very comfortable. Zhao Yun felt her eyelids getting heavier and heavier. After a while, she fell into a half-asleep state. In a daze, she suddenly felt that her lips were covered by something cool. She originally wanted to open her eyes to see what was going on. Then she immediately realized that this cool thing should be Mu Lianfeng's lips. This guy, he actually kissed her when she was not paying attention. If she opened her eyes at this moment, she was afraid that both of them would be very embarrassed. She might as well not open her eyes and pretend that she did not know. So what if he kissed her? It was not like he had not kissed her before. Although she thought this in her heart, Zhao Yuner could not help but blush. Feeling Zhao Yuner's burning face, Mu Lianfeng still thought that Zhao Yun was like this because she was too hot, so he increased the strength of his hand. An even cooler wind came from the fan. Zhao Yun was very comfortable with the cool wind. Very quickly, she fell asleep again. After sleeping for about 10 minutes, she heard a child crying in the courtyard. It was Daodu's. Zhao Yuner woke up at once. Mu Lianfeng had already walked out of the house. "Daodu, what's wrong?" Mu Lianfeng gently asked Daodu. Daodu looked at Mu Lianfeng with an aggrieved expression. His eyes were as big as beans, which made one's heart ache. "Daddy." Daodu threw himself into Mu Lianfeng's arms. Mu Lianfeng's expression became more serious as he felt the soft body behind his words. Zhao Yuner also came out. Seeing Daodu's aggrieved look, she asked, "Daodu, what's wrong? If there's anything, just tell mother and father. If anyone bullies you, mother will help you beat them up." Daodu sniffled. There was still snot on his nose. Mu Lianfeng didn't mind. Even though he was wearing luxurious clothes, he used his sleeve to wipe Daodu's nose. Then he coaxed gently, "All right, Daodu, don't cry, okay?" "Daodu, can you tell us what happened now?" Daodu choked with sobs, then said to Mu Lianfeng and Zhao Yuner, "Mother, father, the sour plum soup was stolen by Iron Hammer." The Iron Hammer that Daodu mentioned was the precious grandson of Zhao Yuner's eldest grandmother, Mrs. Hu. Zhao Baojun and Mrs. Hu lived with their eldest son, and Iron Hammer was their eldest son's only son. It wasn't easy for them to give birth to this precious son. He was only 7 years old this year. Chapter 1387. He was the kind of brat who would snatch anything that caught his eye. Children were like this because their parents didn't educate them well. At home they were pampered by their parents and could do whatever they wanted. After all, it had nothing to do with others, so others wouldn't care. However, if they were so tyrannical outside, then it was really inexcusable. Others didn't have to tolerate it. Therefore, when Zhao Yuner heard this, she was immediately a little angry. She asked Daodu, "Daodu, other than snatching your sour plum soup, did Iron Hammer do anything else? For example, did he push you or hit you?" Daodu nodded aggrievedly. "Mother, yes. I didn't give Iron Hammer, so he pushed me, but he didn't hit me." "Then Daodu, did it hurt?" "It didn't hurt. It's just that the sour plum soup was snatched away. The sour plum soup is delicious, so Daodu didn't want to give it to Iron Hammer." Hearing Daodu's words, Zhao Yuner sighed in relief. As long as Daodu didn't suffer any harm, it was fine. It wasn't that important that it was snatched away. At this moment, Daodu was like a baby who had been wronged. Children who cared about things that were snatched away would feel very upset. Zhao Yuner patted Daodu and said to Daodu, "Daodu, be good, don't cry. Let's go, mother will take you to settle the score." Daodu looked up at Zhao Yuner. His sparkling little eyes were very beautiful and charming. Especially when there were tears in his eyes, they seemed to be a little misty. This child would definitely grow up to be a handsome man. Just look at Mu Lianfeng. Now that she thought about it, genes were too important. Only a man like Mu Lianfeng could give birth to a child as cute as Daodu. Unlike Zhao Yuner, Mu Lianfeng first said to Daodu, "Daodu, did you forget what father said to you? You're a man, so you shouldn't cry like this. When you encounter a problem, think about how to solve it, not cry. Do you understand?" Daodu nodded heavily and replied, "Yes, father, Daodu understands. Daodu won't cry." "Good, then let's go settle the score." Mu Lianfeng pulled Daodu's little hand. Zhao Yuner didn't let Mu Lianfeng go with them. Mu Lianfeng's status was not ordinary, so it was better to let her handle this kind of matter. Otherwise, the villagers would say that Mu Lianfeng was too protective of his children, and that he actually argued with Tai Chue over a pot of sour plum soup. Mu Lianfeng himself didn't care, but Zhao Yuner didn't like people talking behind Mu Lianfeng's back. Anyway, she didn't care about her reputation, nor was she afraid of being called a shrew. She was the most suitable person to go. "Mu Lianfeng, you go do your thing. I'll take care of Daodu by myself." Mu Lianfeng asked worriedly, "Yuner, are you okay by yourself? Or should I go with you?" "No need, you're a man. It's not suitable for you to argue with a few women. Don't worry, I'll be fine by myself. Don't be afraid that I'll be bullied. Those people can't beat me." Mu Lianfeng saw Zhao Yuner's fierce expression, so he smiled and said, "Well, Yuner, you take Daodu with you. If they bully you, come back and tell me." "Got it." Zhao Yuner nodded in response, then took Daodu's hand and walked towards the Hu residence. Chapter 1388. At this moment, in Madame Hu's courtyard, Madame Hu and Madame Hu's eldest daughter-in-law, the fat girl, were enjoying the cool air under a tree. In this kind of weather, if they worked, they would die from the heat. Women were not like men. Most of the time, they were busy with housework and did not interfere with the work in the fields. Otherwise, how could they be so comfortable at this time and sit under a tree to enjoy the cool air? Madame Hu moved out a bamboo couch and lay on it, sleeping with her eyes closed. However, although the sun was blocked under the tree, the weather was still very hot. It was so hot that her body was sweating. Madame Hu called out to the fat girl, "Eldest daughter-in-law, give me a fan. I can't sleep because of the heat." The fat girl unhappily replied, "Mother, I'm also sleepy and hot." Her huge body had a lot of fat, so she was more afraid of heat than anyone else. Because of her thick fat, she was not cold in the winter. It was only unbearably hot in the summer. At this time, the fat girl's forehead was already soaked with a layer of sweat and she was very hot. "Fat girl, what else can you do? I only asked you to fan me, but you're too lazy to fan me." "Mother, don't you see that my situation is much worse than yours? It's said that fat people are the most afraid of heat. Mother, you don't have as much fat as me. So you're definitely not as hot as me now." Madame Hu couldn't help but roll her eyes at the fat girl. "Eldest daughter-in-law, you have so many people on you, yet you're still so proud? It's our Zhao family's fault for being too good to you and feeding you until you're so fat. Don't eat tonight. You have so much fat on your body. If you lose weight, you won't be hot anymore." Madame Hu's words frightened the fat girl. If she didn't eat, it would be the worst. The fat girl hurriedly fawned over Madame Hu and said, "Mother, I was wrong. Can't I fan you?" "That's more like it." Madame Hu snorted. The fat girl picked up the fan and gently fanned Madame Hu. Madame Hu closed her eyes and seemed to be enjoying herself. After a while, her eyelids became heavier and heavier and she began to doze off. An earthquake-like snoring sound was heard. Seeing that Madame Hu was sleeping so soundly, the fat girl also became sleepy. He opened his mouth and yawned. His eyelids also seemed very heavy. "Mother, grandmother." Hammer's voice rang out. Then he saw the figure of a child running towards the courtyard. The fat girl was still dozing off, but when she heard the sound of the hammer, she immediately woke up. "Iron Hammer, why are you back so early today?" "Mother, I snatched something good and came back." Iron Hammer proudly waved the thing in his hand and said to the fat girl. If an ordinary parent heard that their child had snatched something from someone else, they might have scolded him. However, the fat girl was not like that. Instead, she praised Iron Hammer. "Is that so?" "Tieske, then my Iron Hammer is too awesome." As expected of mother's son. After being praised by the fat girl, Iron Hammer became even more proud. "Mother, of course." Tieske. "Iron Hammer, come here quickly." "What is it?" "Let mother see." "Mother, it's something delicious. I drank it just now. It's delicious. It's even better than sugar water." When the fat girl heard this, she immediately became excited. "Iron Hammer, is what you said true? Come, let mother have a sip." Chapter 1389. "I know, Tai Chue. Mother won't steal your drink, will she?" Tai Chue softly responded and carefully stared at the chubby girl, fearing that she would accidentally drink too much. After the cold sour plum soup entered her stomach, the chubby girl immediately felt a little better. She couldn't help but want to drink more, but she was stopped by Tai Chue. "Mother, you're not allowed to drink anymore. You've already drunk a lot." The chubby girl wiped the corner of her mouth and coaxed Tai Chue. "Tai Chue, you definitely can't finish this big pot by yourself. Mother will drink a few more mouthfuls. This thing is sour and sweet and it's also cooling. It's really good stuff." Tai Chue ignored the chubby girl and snatched the pot. "Mother, you can drink it. Why do you still want to drink it after drinking it?" "I still want to drink it slowly later." The chubby girl awkwardly pulled the corner of her mouth. Okay, you child. Mother won't drink it anymore." Madame Hu's eyes slightly opened. She was awakened by the chubby girl and Tai Chue's conversation. What good thing did Tai Chue bring back? Grandma also wants to drink it. Madame Hu was still a little sleepy, but at this moment she suddenly had the strength to get up from the bed. Tai Chue's mouth twitched. He was not very happy, but he knew that pleasing Madame Hu was the most beneficial thing in this family. So he handed the pot to Madame Hu. Madame Hu drank a few mouthfuls, which made the chubby girl beside her very greedy. "Grandmother, drink it," Tai Chue urged, fearing that Madame Hu would drink too much. "Yes." Madame Hu returned the pot to Tai Chue and curiously asked, "Tai Chue, what good thing is this? Where did you get it?" "Grandmother, I don't know what good thing it is. I snatched it from Daodu." As soon as she heard that Tai Chue snatched it from Daodu, the chubby girl was frightened and scolded Tai Chue. "You child, you can snatch it from anyone, but why did you snatch it from Daodu? Don't you know who Daodu's father is?" After being scolded by the chubby girl, Tai Chue angrily went to Madame Hu and acted like a spoiled child. "Grandmother, my mother is scolding me." Madame Hu treasured her grandson so much that she began to lecture the chubby girl instead. "What are you yelling about? Aren't you afraid of scaring the child? Mother, we can steal other people's things but we can't steal Daodu's. The heir apparent and Yun are not to be trifled with. They'll definitely come and cause trouble later. What should we do then?" Madame Hu rolled her eyes at Chubby Nyo. "What's the hurry? You've already snatched it back, do you still want to send it back? Besides, we've already drunk it. What's the point of thinking about it now?" He even scared Iron Hammer. The fat girl curled her lips and didn't say anything else. Iron Hammer's heart was filled with pride. Chapter 1390. When the chubby girl saw this, she couldn't help but swallow her saliva. She eagerly asked, "Mother, is there any more? I also want to drink it." Madame Hu unhappily replied, "There's no more." The chubby girl's expression suddenly became very disappointed. She sighed regretfully and said, "Ah, mother, there's really no more?" Madame Hu coldly glanced at the chubby girl and said to her, "What's wrong? Do you want to drink it? Why did you say that Iron Hammer shouldn't have been snatched?" "Mother, if you don't want to talk about it, then just talk about it. It's not a big deal." "Hee hee." Madame Hu sneered. Just as she put down the kettle, she saw an adult and a child coming over. From afar she recognized that the people who came were Zhao Yun'er and Dao Du. As soon as she saw Zhao Yun'er, the chubby girl hurriedly pulled on Madame Hu's sleeve and said, "Mother, look, Zhao Yun'er came over. Why are you so afraid? If she's here then so be it." Madame Hu appeared very calm. The chubby girl felt strange. Why wasn't her mother afraid of Zhao Yun'er? Her mother had suffered at the hands of Zhao Yun'er before. She wasn't someone who hadn't suffered before. How could she be so calm as if she wasn't afraid of Zhao Yun'er at all? Zhao Yun'er arrived in front of Madame Hu and the chubby girl. After coldly glancing at the two adults, her icy gaze fell on Iron Hammer. Seeing Zhao Yun'er's murderous gaze, Iron Hammer was so scared that he hid behind Madame Hu. He tugged on Madame Hu's clothes and said to her, "Grandmother, help me." Madame Hu put her hands on her waist and angrily said, "Zhao Yun'er, what are you doing? You scared my precious grandson." Zhao Yun'er looked at Madame Hu in amusement and said to her, "I'm not blaming you but you're blaming me. Your precious grandson doesn't even care about himself. He's snatching things from Dao Du." Madame Hu spoke to Zhao Yun'er like a hoodlum. "Yun'er, what you said is wrong. When did my family's Iron Hammer steal from your family's Dao Du? Which eye of yours saw that?" Zhao Yun'er sneered, "You're holding my kettle in your hand. What, don't tell me you don't want to admit it? Who doesn't want to admit it? What are you talking about? Really, how can you say that my Iron Hammer was stolen? I can even say that your Dao Du gave it to me. Did anyone see it? Can you prove it? Dao Du is just a 3-year-old child who can't tell right from wrong. You believe everything he says?" Zhao Yun'er finally understood what a scoundrel was. Encountering such a person, Zhao Yun'er felt even worse than eating dog shit. It seemed that it was useless to talk nicely. He had to use his fists. Zhao Yun'er picked up a wooden stick from the ground and said to Madame Hu's family, "Then I'll give you a good beating now. Later you can say that I beat you up. I can deny it. In any case no one saw it. You can't find anyone else to prove that I beat you up." As soon as Zhao Yun'er finished speaking, Madame Hu saw the wooden stick in her hand. Madame Hu's legs immediately went weak. She said to Zhao Yun'er, "Yun'er, why are you being so violent? Isn't it just a drink? So what if you gave my family's Iron Hammer? You even mustered so many people to come to our house to ask for it. I've never seen such a petty person like you." Chapter 1391. Madame Hu had drunk the sour plum soup herself, so she knew what it was. She frowned and couldn't help but worry. Could it really be something good? Zhao Yun'er was with Mu Lianfeng, so Mu Lianfeng should have a lot of good things. If it was really from the Shitzi, then it would be very precious. So what? Yun'er, you're Tietue's older sister. We're family, so why are you being so calculative? Tietue is a child, so let him drink it. Madame Hu curled her lips and grumbled. "Eldest young mistress, you actually have the nerve to say that we're family? Who would want to hear that? We're family, yet you're still fighting over things. I don't know where your face is." As Zhao Yun'er spoke, she waved the stick in Madame Hu's direction. Madame Hu was so scared that she quickly hid her chrysanthemum and dodged. "Zhao Yun'er, what are you doing? Are you trying to kill someone?" The corners of Zhao Yun'er's mouth curled up. "I'm not trying to kill someone, I'm just teaching them a lesson." You stop it right now. You wish. You can stop, but you must give me an explanation today." Madame Hu hurriedly said, "Just say what explanation you want. If we can do it, we'll agree." Seeing Zhao Yun'er acting like a shrew, Madame Hu was really scared. She was afraid that the stick in Zhao Yun'er's hand would fall on her head. If that happened, she might really lose her life. Since Madame Hu was so straightforward, Zhao Yun'er wasn't an unreasonable person. She put away the stick in her hand and said to Madame Hu, "The explanation I want is very simple. Either you compensate me or I'll teach Tietue a lesson." When Madame Hu heard this, she first glanced at Tietue. If her precious grandson fell into Zhao Yun'er's hands, it would be terrible. She didn't know how Zhao Yun'er would deal with him. If something were to happen to his eldest grandson, it would be disastrous. Madame Hu thought for a moment and asked, "Yun'er, if we were to compensate, how much should we compensate?" "I don't need too much, just 2 taels of silver will do." When Madame Hu heard Zhao Yun'er say 2 taels of silver, she immediately exploded. "What? Yun'er girl, are you trying to raise the price? 2 taels of silver? Why don't you go and steal it? A pot of drinks costs 2 taels of silver?" Zhao Yun'er snorted softly. "Young mistress, how did I raise the price? I really don't like what you're saying. The rarer something is, the more valuable it is. Most people can't make my things, so 2 taels of silver isn't expensive. If you think that I'm cheating you, that's fine too. At worst, I won't take these 2 taels of silver. You stole a pot from me, so return it to me. Then I won't pursue this matter. When Madame Hu heard Zhao Yuner's words, she became even angrier. She drank it all, not leaving a single drop behind. Where would she get the sour plum soup to return to Zhao Yuner? Wasn't it obvious that she knew that she couldn't do it and was deliberately making things difficult for her? Madame Hu hesitated for a long time. Zhao Yuner raised her voice and said, "If you can't take out the 2 taels of silver, then there's only one other option. Hand over Chechue and let me teach him a lesson. Don't worry, young mistress, I'll just teach him a lesson. I won't beat him to death or cripple him." When Chechue heard Zhao Yuner's words, he was so frightened that he immediately cried, "Grandmother, don't. I don't want to be beaten. Grandmother, don't let her bully me." Chapter 1392. Mrs. Hu's heart ached for her grandson. The first branch only had one precious son, and she had personally raised him. How could she not like him? But thinking of the 2 taels of silver, Mrs. Hu's heart ached. Where could an ordinary family get 2 taels of silver? 2 taels of silver were enough to buy a lot of meat for Zhao Yuner. It was better to let Zhao Yuner beat Iron Hammer first, and then use the 2 taels of silver to buy more delicious food for Iron Hammer to nourish his body. Seeing Mrs. Hu's expression, the fat girl knew that Mrs. Hu was unwilling to give the money to Zhao Yuner, so she hugged Iron Hammer and protected him behind her. "Mother, if Iron Hammer falls into Zhao Yuner's hands, he definitely won't have a good ending. Don't believe Zhao Yuner's words. She's too vicious. Who doesn't suffer when they fall into her hands?" Iron Hammer hurriedly nodded in response. "Mother, Daodu's mother is so fierce. Iron Hammer is so scared." Zhao Yuner glanced at the fat girl and Iron Hammer. Iron Hammer, this child was really interesting. When he was a robber, he wasn't afraid, but now he immediately became a coward. A child with this kind of character would have no future when he grew up. "Then don't talk nonsense. Give me the money, or I'll directly go to the government to sue you. Adults have to take the blame for the things that children do. You adults can deal with the prison case." Hearing that they would be sued, the fat girl and Mrs. Hu were shocked. Zhao Yuner had a relationship with the heir presumptive. Who knew if the government would collude with Zhao Yuner and then catch them? "Mother?" The fat girl looked at Mrs. Hu. She didn't want to be sued, but she also didn't want to give up her child. "Eldest daughter-in-law, if you want to be sued, you can go. If you don't want to, you can hand over Iron Hammer." Mrs. Hu's meaning was very clear. If Zhao Yuner went to sue, the fat girl would be the one to take the blame, not her. The fat girl was naturally unwilling. Compared to her precious son being punished, she was more concerned about her own life. One had to know that once they entered the prison they might be tortured to death. No matter how bold Zhao Yuner was, she wouldn't dare to do anything to Tai Chue. After struggling for a moment, the chubby girl said to Madame Hu, "Mother, why don't we give the hammer to Zhao Yuner?" Madame Hu nodded in response. "Iron Hammer, go over." The fat girl pushed Iron Hammer. Iron Hammer hugged the fat girl's leg and refused to let go. He shouted at the fat girl, I'm not going, mother, I don't want to go." "Child, don't be too stubborn. Hurry up and go." "Mother, you don't treat me well. Grandma, please save me. I'm your precious eldest grandson. Didn't you drink what I stole? How can you let me suffer now?" Tai Chue's pleading eyes fell on Madame Hu. Madame Hu glared at Iron Hammer and made up her mind, "Child, you don't know how to control your strength. If you want to steal someone's things, you should pick someone who is easy to bully. Daodu's father is the heir of the royal family. You even dared to touch him. Do you want to die? Today will be a lesson for you. Child, you must remember it well, understand?" The fat girl's mouth twitched. Her mother's words were really fickle. Just now, she had said something similar and was reprimanded by Hu Shi. Now Hu Shi was the one who said it. Iron Hammer hugged the fat girl's leg and refused to let go. The fat girl had no choice but to pull Iron Hammer's ear and bring him to Zhao Yuner. Chapter 1393. Zhao Yuner nodded, N. The fat girl sighed and glanced at Tai Chue worriedly. She made up her mind and stepped aside. When Tai Chue saw Zhao Yuner's fierce eyes, he was scared and wanted to run away. Unfortunately, Tai Chue was still slower than Zhao Yuner. Zhao Yuner caught Tai Chue. "Do you want to run away?" There was a cold smile on Guning's face. Even if Tai Chue was a child, she wouldn't let him off easily. In the 21st century, children were spoiled even more. Basically, parents would turn a blind eye to the bad things their children did. However, they didn't know that they were indulging their children. They thought that the bad things their children did could be tolerated and forgiven. In fact, it wasn't the case. If a child was a bad person from a young age, how could they expect him to be a good person when he grew up? If they wanted to educate their children, they had to be educated from a young age. Learning to be a good person was more important than anything else. Tai Chue struggled for a while in Zhao Yun'er's hands, but he couldn't get out of Zhao Yun'er's hands. He could only shout at Zhao Yun'er, "Let me go. Let me go. You're a bad person. Let me go. Mom, Grandma, please help me. Please help me. Mom, Grandma." Tai Chue struggled and shouted at the same time. When he couldn't get out, he kicked Zhao Yun'er several times. Seeing Tai Chue kicking at her, Zhao Yun'er was annoyed. This child was really out of control. If she didn't teach him a lesson, he wouldn't know what was good for him. Just when Zhao Yun'er was about to help him, Tai Chue sat on the ground and cried with his hands on his stomach. "It hurts. It hurts so much. My stomach hurts so much. It's really killing me. Grandma, Mom, my stomach hurts." Zhao Yun'er looked at Tai Chue, who was sitting on the ground with his hands on his stomach. She didn't know whether Tai Chue was really in pain or pretending. "I didn't touch you and now you're pretending? If he really touched you, wouldn't you play dead?" Zhao Yun'er sneered. Chubby Nyo and Madame Hu thought so too. They were all staring. Zhao Yun'er really did not touch the hammer. The child was probably afraid of being hit, so she pretended. Although the two of them were worried, they stood by the side. Zhao Yun'er coldly snorted and had Dao to bring a thorny thorn over. She pinned Iron Hammer's pants to the ground and started whipping him. "Don't worry, there's a lot of meat on the buttocks. It won't hurt the shins, but the pain is unavoidable," Zhao Yun'er said to the fat girl. If she were to spank a child, she would have to spank his butt. It wouldn't be a big deal. She did this because she didn't want Chubby Nyo and Madame Hu to come over and make a fuss if something really happened to Iron Hammer. As soon as Zhao Yun'er whipped him, red stripes of thorns appeared on Iron Hammer's buttocks. Iron Hammer howled in pain like a wolf. However, Zhao Yun'er didn't want to stop. She kept whipping him with the thorns in her hand. "Mom, Grandma, it hurts so much. My buttocks and my stomach hurt so much." Chubby Nyo cried when she saw Iron Hammer's buttocks. She said to Zhao Yun'er, "Have you taught him a lesson? Let Iron Hammer go. How can it be cured so soon? Why are you so vicious?" Chubby Nyo glared at Zhao Yun'er. Chapter 1394. Zhao Yun'er no longer paid attention to the chubby girl and hit Tai Chue's buttocks a few more times. After a total of 10 hits, Zhao Yun'er finally let go. The chubby girl and Madame Hu hurriedly rushed to Tai Chue and hugged him as they cried. "Tai Chue, how are you? Are you okay? Don't scare your mother." The chubby girl wiped the tears from the corner of her eyes. Tai Chue's face was already covered in tears. When he opened his mouth, snot flowed down together with his nose. "Mother, it hurts so much." His buttocks were like blooming flowers, how could it not hurt? "Tai Chue, don't cry. It's all good now, you don't have to suffer anymore. There's an ointment at home. Wait a moment, Mother will take it out and apply it to you. It won't hurt anymore after you apply it." After the chubby girl finished speaking, Madame Hu nervously urged, "Hurry up and get it." The chubby girl's plump body rushed into the house and soon came out with a small bottle. Madame Hu called out, Come, chubby girl, hurry up and apply the ointment to Tai Chue's buttocks. Look at his buttocks, it's too scary. It must be painful. Mother, it must be painful. His buttocks are bleeding." Madame Hu sighed and her eyes were a little wet. She was usually reluctant to touch this precious grandson of hers. Today he suffered so much in the hands of Zhao Yun'er. It really made her heart ache. This Zhao Yun'er at such a young age, how could her heart be so cruel? The chubby girl took out some ointment and applied it on Tai Chue's buttocks. Then she heard Tai Chue's tragic cries. It hurts so much. It hurts so much. The chubby girl comforted him. Tai Chue, bear with it. Mother is already light enough. It hurts now, but it will be fine in a while. Tai Chue gritted his teeth and endured. Although he didn't continue to cry, he suddenly let out a loud fart like a cannon. Then an extremely unpleasant stench filled the air. Madame Hu and the chubby girl were slightly stunned by the loud fart. Then he saw a lot of poop on Iron Hammer's butt. The fat girl was stunned by the scene in front of her. Didn't his butt hurt? Why did Iron Hammer spit out shit? You child, what are you doing? It's so smelly. Aren't you afraid that your mother and I will die from the smell of your poop? Iron Hammer curled his lips and said to his mother and the fat girl, Mom, Grandma, I already told you that I have a stomachache, but you didn't listen to me. You didn't care about me either. You just ignored me. Hu Sure and Fat Chick looked at Iron Hammer helplessly and comforted him. Okay, Iron Hammer, I won't talk about you anymore, okay? Fat chick, hurry up and get some water to wipe Iron Hammer's butt. Got it, mother. The fat girl endured the disgust in her heart and nodded in response. Then she went out to get the basin. Daodu pinched his nose and pulled the corner of Zhao Yun'er's clothes. He said to Zhao Yun'er, "Mom, it stinks." Daodu's soft voice softened Zhao Yun'er's heart. She smiled at Daodu and said, "Let's go. We won't be able to smell it if we leave." Daodu nodded heavily. Since they had finished cleaning up Iron Hammer, there was no point in staying. Zhao Yun'er held the kettle in her hand and held Daodu's hand, walking towards her own room. Chapter 1395. She scooped some sour plum soup out of the pot and decided to deliver it personally. Carrying the sour plum soup, she went to the third branch's room. Liang Jinxiao was not there. He must have gone to the fields to do something. Zhao Yun'er put the kettle on the table in the third branch's room and then went out of old Zhao's courtyard. The second branch's people saw Zhao Yun'er delivering something. Li Chuiying muttered that Zhao Yun'er must have delivered something good again. She sneaked into the third branch's room. When she entered, she found a kettle delivered by Zhao Yun'er on the table in the third branch's room. She thought that the kettle must be filled with something good. Basically, the things delivered by Zhao Yun'er were not bad. Li Chuiying looked behind her to make sure that no one was coming. She picked up the kettle, poured a cup and drank. After tasting the food, Li Chuiying immediately liked it. After drinking a cup, he murmured, "What kind of good stuff is this? How is it delicious?" Not only was it delicious, but after drinking it, Li Chuiying felt much better. She was so tired from working just now that she sweated. Now even the sweat was discharged. "Should I drink more?" Li Chuiying muttered and couldn't help but want to drink more. Anyway, there was no one in the room now. Her third sister-in-law was not in the room. She wouldn't be found out if she drank more. It was a full pot. There was a lot of it. As long as there was half of it left, Liang Jinxiao would not ask Zhao Yun'er if she had sent a full pot or half a pot. Li Chuiying held the cup and continued to pour a few more cups. She gulped down the tea into her stomach. After drinking, Li Chuiying wiped her mouth and left the third branch's room with satisfaction. "Tianyu's mother!" Zhao Wenshui exclaimed in the room. Li Chuiying rushed into the room and stood in front of Zhao Wenshui. She asked Zhao Wenshui, "Tianyu's father, what's wrong? Where did you go? You couldn't even call for help." Zhao Wenshui reprimanded angrily. "Tianyu's father, I'm going to do some work now. How could you call for me if I wasn't in the courtyard? Why are you looking for me?" Zhao Wenshui snorted and said to Li Chuiying, "You woman, you don't care about your man. You haven't applied the ointment for me today. Are you hoping that I won't be able to get out of bed?" Li Chuiying smiled embarrassedly and replied to Zhao Wenshui, "Tianyu's father, what are you talking about? How could I not want you to get out of bed? After you got injured, I had to do all the chores at home. I was so busy that I didn't forget to apply the ointment for you." Zhao Wenshui snorted and didn't believe Li Chuiying. Li Chuiying didn't continue to explain. She took out the ointment. "Come on, Tianyu's father. Raise your butt a little. I'll apply it for you." Zhao Wenshui cooperated and raised his butt a little. Li Chuiying suddenly let out a loud burp because she drank too much of the sour plum soup. "Haha!" Zhao Wenshui turned around angrily and glanced at Li Chuiying. He said to Li Chuiying, "You woman, what were you doing just now? Still working? I think he must have secretly eaten something, right?" Chapter 1396. She replied guiltily, "Tianyu's father, what are you talking about? I didn't steal food. There's nothing delicious in our house for me to steal." Zhao Wenshui snorted, "You didn't? If you didn't, why don't you explain to me why you burped so loudly?" The corners of Li Chuiying's mouth twitched slightly, and she seemed a little embarrassed. "Tianyu's father? I just burped. It's not a big deal. Really, I don't only burp when I eat. I also burp when I drink too much water. I just drank a little too much just now." Zhao Wenshui's large number of eyes looked up and down Li Chuiying's body. He knew that this woman's words were not reliable. "Humph, I hope so. If not, you just wait and see," Zhao Wenshui warned. Li Chuiying was a little scared and disappointed at the same time. This man of hers was becoming more and more unkind to her. Now he was lying on the bed unable to move, and she was the only one serving him. Why didn't he know how to talk about how good she was? She was not as good as Chen Chuanxiu except for her appearance. Which part of her was inferior to Chen Chuanxiu? The more Li Chuiying thought about it, the more disappointed she felt in her heart. She sighed in her heart. Weren't women like this? If a woman didn't marry a good man, she could only suffer for the rest of her life. Since she was married, there was nothing she could do. In this life, she could only accept her fate. If she wanted to blame someone, she could only blame herself for being wrong. After Li Chuiying wiped half of her butt, she suddenly felt a sharp pain in her stomach. Ouch, it hurts so much. I can't. Li Chuiying covered her stomach and screamed. Zhao Wenshui glanced at his woman indifferently and replied unhappily, "Woman, why are you screaming? What's wrong?" "Tianyu's father, my stomach suddenly hurts," Li Chuiying said to Zhao Wenshui with an aggrieved face. "Stomachache?" Zhao Wenshui frowned. "You be *tch, why do you have a stomachache?" I think you must have eaten something good. Now you've eaten something bad, right?" "No, Tianyu's father." "No. You're still so stubborn, stinky woman. You're eating delicious food but you don't know how to give it to your man. You only care about yourself. Why did I marry such a heartless woman?" Li Chuiying looked at Zhao Wenshui in disappointment. She still felt that she had married a heartless man. Zhao Wenshui actually said that to her. It really hurt her heart. Li Chuiying was unhappy, so he didn't want to let Zhao Wenshui wipe the other half of Zhao Wenshui's butt. He said to Zhao Wenshui, "Tianyu's father, haven't I treated you well? Feel your conscience and tell me that you wronged me when you went to find Widow Qian. I haven't even settled the score with you yet. Now you're saying that I'm heartless. Why don't you let that Widow Qian serve you? Let her wipe the ointment on your butt." With that, Li Chuiying covered her stomach and walked out of the second branch's room. Zhao Wenshui shouted at Li Chuiying, "You be *tch, you're still throwing a tantrum. Come back quickly. I told you to come back. Did you hear me? You're disobedient. When my butt recovers, see if I don't get up and teach you a lesson when my butt recovers." Li Chuiying didn't hear Zhao Wenshui's voice. She ran directly to the latrine and started to poop. Chapter 1397. Even though he had pooped a lot, his stomach still hurt badly. Li Chuiying felt cold sweat coming out of his forehead. What happened to him? Why did his stomach hurt all of a sudden? That was so strange. Li Chuiying thought for a while. He didn't eat anything except for the sour plum juice that Zhao Yuner brought over. Was there something wrong with Zhao Yuner's sour plum juice? Ouch! Li Chuiying clutched her stomach, which felt like it was being twisted by a knife, and muttered in pain. If Li Chuiying had known that his stomach hurt so much, he would never have drunk the sour plum juice that Zhao Yuner brought over. Dong dong dong. Li Chuiying let out a loud fart, and then expelled a lot of dirty things from her stomach. After squatting in the latrine for a long time, his legs were numb and weak. However, Li Chuiying could only continue squatting in his stomach. Zhao Wenshui was in the room. He thought Li Chuiying was mad at him and ignored him on purpose. He continued to shout outside the room, "Tianyu's mother, get in here right now. Why are you still gambling? Tianyu's mother, did you hear that? If you don't come in, I'll be mad. Tianyu's mother." After shouting for a while, he didn't hear Li Chuiying's response. Zhao Wenshui grumbled unhappily, "This damned woman is too much. I haven't even applied ointment on half of my butt and she's already leaving me hanging. I own my butt. When will it recover if this goes on?" The other members of old Zhao's family didn't care about Zhao Wenshui's business. However, Hua Chunhua heard it. She walked into Zhao Wenshui's room and said to Zhao Wenshui unhappily, "Wenshui, why are you shouting like a ghost?" "Really?" Seeing Hua Chunhua come in, Zhao Wenshui thought that his butt was still outside, so he quickly pulled on his pants. Unfortunately, he couldn't do anything about it. Zhao Wenshui was lying on his stomach on the bed, so it was difficult for him to exert any strength. Therefore, Hua Chunhua saw Zhao Wenshui's butt. Seeing that Zhao Wenshui was in a hurry to pull up his pants, Hua Chunhua said faintly, "Second brother, why are you covering up? Mother gave birth to you. Mother has seen your butt countless times since you were young. What's there to be embarrassed about in front of me?" Zhao Wenshui blushed slightly as he muttered to Hua Chunhua, "Mom, the past is the past, but the present is the present." Hua Chunhua rolled her eyes at Zhao Wenshui and said to Zhao Wenshui, "What's wrong now? Did you forget about your mother after you got married? Now that your wife can see your butt, why can't your mother see it?" Zhao Wenshui muttered, "Mom, what are you talking about? It doesn't make sense at all." Fine. You were born in my belly. It's fine if you feel embarrassed in front of others, but you don't need to do that in front of me." Zhao Wenshui glanced at Hua Chunhua, and didn't know how to respond to Hua Chunhua. If other men in the village knew that his mother had seen his butt, they would laugh at him. However, in his mother's eyes it was nothing. "Tell me, why are you calling me your wife? What's the matter?" Speaking of that, Zhao Wenshui curled his lips. Mom, Tianyu's mother applied the ointment on my butt, and then she ran away. Hua Chunhua then glanced at Zhao Wenshui's butt. Where did she go? Chapter 1398. Hua Chunhua snorted. Your daughter-in-law is getting more and more unreasonable. Our old Zhao family is so unlucky to have her as our daughter-in-law. Put the ointment on your butt first and I'll get even with that bitch later. Zhao Wenshui was scared when he heard that Hua Chunhua was going to put ointment on his butt. Mom, why are you helping me? Why don't you wait for Tianyu's mother to come back and help me? Hua Chunhua gave Zhao Wenshui a glance. You don't know how long you'll have to wait for her to come back. You can't leave the other half of your butt hanging, can you? Zhao Wenshui blushed and murmured, Mom? Alright, don't be shy in front of me. Why are you so shy? You've forgotten your mom after you got married. You only know your daughter-in-law. Being scolded by Hua Chunhua, Zhao Wenshui had to listen to Hua Chunhua. However, Hua Chunhua's behavior made him feel a little strange. Luckily no one saw it or he would be too ashamed to face anyone. Hua Chunhua took the ointment and finished applying the rest of Zhao Wenshui's butt. She put the ointment away and said to Zhao Wenshui, Wenshui, you can have a good rest in the room. I'm going to find your shameless wife now. Zhao Wenshui nodded. Hua Chunhua walked out of the room angrily. She walked around for a while and searched the yard, but couldn't find Li Chuiying. She shouted at Li Chuiying, but didn't hear any response from Li Chuiying, so she stood in the yard and cursed. That evil bitch better not be caught by me. If I catch her, I'll teach her a lesson. Don't come back if you dare. You don't even care about your own man. What kind of person is she? Hearing Hua Chunhua's cursing, Li Chuiying couldn't help trembling. Her stomach still hurt and she always wanted to poop. Every time it hurt for a while she could only poop a little. It was worse than the usual stomachache. If she pulled up her pants now, she would definitely run to the toilet in less than a minute. However, Hua Chunhua was cursing fiercely in the courtyard. If she didn't go out now, she didn't know what kind of unpleasant words Hua Chunhua would scold. Li Chuiying thought and decided to go explain it to Hua before she came back to the toilet. I'm B. Hua Chunhua heard Li Chuiying's voice in the yard. She frowned unhappily and continued to scold. People say that lazy people poop and pee a lot. That's what my second daughter-in-law is like. You've been in the toilet for so long. How much poop do you have to poop? Li Chuiying felt wronged in the toilet. She curled her lips and said, Damn it, this old woman is so controlling. She can nag me for a long time even when I'm just taking a dump. What can I do if my stomach hurts? It's not like I want it. Although Li Chuiying said that, she still got up. Unfortunately, because she had been squatting for a long time, her legs were numb and sore. She couldn't stand up at all. Li Chuiying stood up with difficulty, but she lost her balance and fell into the manure vat. With a plop, the whole manure vat seemed to explode and the things inside splashed out. What followed was a foul smell that she had never smelled before. Chapter 1399. Li Chuiying waited for the liquid in the dung tank to enter her nostrils. Stimulated by the stench, Li Chuiying suddenly realized what had happened to her. Li Chuiying's face became extremely pale. Great, she accidentally fell into the manure tank and was covered with feces all over her body. It was even more disgusting than being splashed with feces by Zhao Yuner. How could she be like this? Li Chuiying thought for a while in the manure tank, then wanted to climb out of the manure tank. Why don't I take a bath by the river for a few hours? I'm afraid that I can't get rid of the stench on my body. Li Chuiying herself also began to dislike herself when she smelled the stench, not to mention the others who despised her. Anyway, she felt that she would be laughed at if she walked out like this. Li Chuiying climbed out and found that the manure tank was a little big and a little deep. She tried to climb out, but she couldn't climb out. Instead, she kept falling back into the manure tank, splashing more feces and making the stench even stronger. She was in trouble now. Li Chuiying wanted to cry but had no tears. At the same time, she felt nauseous and wanted to vomit. There was nothing in her stomach except for the sour plum juice. She couldn't keep soaking in such a disgusting manure tank forever. At this time, Hua Chunhua was waiting in the yard. After waiting for a while, Li Chuiying still didn't come out. She snorted with anger. Why is my second daughter-in-law still in the manure? How much did she eat? Why can't she finish it after such a long time? Bitch. She must have eaten a lot of good food secretly. After scolding, Hua Chunhua sniffed and smelled a stench in the air. Hua Chunhua continued to sniff and found that the stench was getting stronger. What the hell is going on? What is that bitch Li Chuiying doing? I've never seen anyone poop so smelly. Everyone in the yard can smell it. The daughter-in-law of the first branch, Feng Zhangxia, walked out of the room and also smelled the smell. She frowned and asked Hua Chunhua, "Mother, what's going on? Why is the yard so smelly?" Hua Chunhua snorted, "Why? It's all because of your second sister-in-law." "What did second sister-in-law do?" Feng Zhangxia asked curiously. "She went to the manure tank and didn't come out for a long time." "That's fine. Look how smelly is her poop. It's made the yard. If the neighbors were to see this, they would definitely laugh at them. It must be said that our Zhao family actually produced such a talent." Hearing Li Chuanying's words, Feng Zhangxia couldn't help laughing. Her mother's words were so funny. "Mom, I have a feeling that something is wrong. If my sister-in-law is using poop, it shouldn't be so smelly. Is something wrong?" Feng Zhangxia muttered with confusion. Hearing Feng Zhangxia's words, Hua Chunhua felt that it made sense. Could it be that her second daughter-in-law had an accident in the manure tank? "Let's go and have a look," Hua Chunhua said to Feng Zhangxia. Chapter 1400. When they got together, they were shocked by the scene in front of their eyes. The whole cesspool seemed to have exploded, and Li Chuanying was in the cesspool at this moment. No wonder there was a stinky smell in the yard. The cesspool must have been destroyed. It was strange that it didn't stink. Feng Zhangxia couldn't help but pinch her nose. She couldn't stand the smell. Hua Chunhua didn't care about Li Chuanying at first. Instead, she scolded Li Chuanying right in her face. "Daughter-in-law, are you crazy? Look at what you've done. The cesspool exploded because of you, and the latrine is now in such a mess. How can our old Zhao family go to the latrine?" "Mom?" Li Chuanying curled her lips. She was a little disappointed. Shouldn't she care about her first? Why did she scold her instead? It was just a cesspool. She was a big job. Wasn't it more important than a cesspool? The more Li Chuanying thought about it, the more upset she felt. She complained to Hua Chunhua with dissatisfaction. "Mom? I didn't do it on purpose. I accidentally fell into the cesspool. Who would do such a thing for no reason?" Hua Chunhua snorted. "You didn't do it on purpose. Only a stupid person would do such a thing. Ordinary people wouldn't do such a thing. Our old Zhao family is simply suffering from 8 lifetimes of bad luck. I married a b***tish like you." Seeing Li Chuanying in such a miserable state, falling into the dung tank and being covered with feces, not to mention the stinky smell, and being scolded by Hua Chunhua, Feng Zhang felt a trace of pity for Li Chuanying for the first time while he felt comfortable in his heart. After all, Li Chuanying was indeed a little pitiful now. He defended Li Chuanying in front of Hua Chunhua. "Mom, she didn't do it on purpose. Forget it. Don't scold her anymore." Hua Chunhua snorted. "I don't want to argue with this b***tc. If I argue with her every day, I'll die of anger." Feng Zhangxia's lips twitched and she smiled embarrassedly. "Mom, you're right," Hua Chunhua then said to Li Chuanying in the cesspool. "Daughter-in-law, why are you still in the cesspool? Don't you feel disgusted and smelly?" Li Chuanying looked at Hua Chunhua with grievance. "Mom, I want to get up but I can't. I can't get up from the cesspool." Hua Chunhua looked at Li Chuanying speechlessly. "You idiot. Daughter-in-law, help her out. If she keeps soaking in the cesspool, the stink won't go away. It'll be a few days." When Feng Zhangxia heard that Hua Chunhua wanted her to help Li Chuanying, she pouted unhappily. "Mom, you want me to help her?" She didn't want to do such a disgusting thing. Seeing that Li Chuanying's hands and body were covered with feces, Feng Zhangxia felt even more guilty in her heart. Hua Chunhua rolled her eyes at Feng Zhangxia and said to her, "You don't say. Don't tell me you're counting on an old woman like me to help you?" Seeing that Hua Chunhua was unhappy, Feng Zhangxia still felt embarrassed. "Mom, look, daughter-in-law is like this. If I help her, I'll be smelly too." Chapter 1401. When Feng Zhangxia saw Hua Chunhua's unhappy face, she immediately explained, "Mother, what's more, I'm a woman. Even if I pull second sister-in-law, I might not be able to pull her up. I have to find a man to do it." Feng Zhangxia's words made sense. But among the men in the house, the second son was lying on the bed with his buttocks swollen. It was impossible for him to come over and help Hua Chunhua, let alone the other men. Only the eldest son was at home. The others had all gone out to work. Hua Chunhua replied calmly, "Then you can ask eldest brother to come here." Feng Zhangxia naturally wouldn't agree when she heard that the boss was called over. How could her man pull Li Chuanying? Such a disgusting thing. Even if she moved her toes, her man wouldn't do it. "Mom, Why do you always ask our family to help you? Why don't you ask other families to help you? You're such a woman. If you can't do it, just say it directly. Why are you wasting time talking about it? Go and see whether our fourth daughter-in-law and third daughter-in-law are back now. If they are, ask them to help second sister-in-law. When Feng Zhangxia heard that this matter could be pushed to someone else, she ran towards the courtyard eagerly. At this time, Li Chuanying, who was in the dung tank, was even more disappointed. She finally saw clearly what kind of people old Zhao's family was. Men were not good. They went out to find other women, and their mother-in-law protected their son. Not only that, they worked themselves to death every day, but they didn't get any praise. Anyway, they were all heartless. She was so miserable, but no one came to help her. It seemed that she was nothing in the eyes of these people. They probably wouldn't care even if she died. The more Li Chuanying thought about it, the more disappointed she became. After Feng Zhangxia ran to the yard, she was lucky. Chen Zhaodate and Liang Jinxiao came back together. Upon seeing the two of them, Feng Zhangxia said excitedly, "Third sister-in-law, fourth sister-in-law, you're home. It's good that you're home." Seeing Feng Zhangxia's anxious look, Liang Jinxiao asked, "Sister-in-law, what's wrong? Is something the matter?" Feng Zhangxia patted her thigh and said, "Of course something big happened. You don't know that your sister-in-law fell into a cesspool." Upon hearing that Li Chuanying had fallen into the cesspool, Qian Zhoujing and Liang Jinxiao's eyes revealed a trace of surprise. They stared at each other for a while. How did he fall into the manure tank? One had to know that under normal circumstances, such a possibility simply did not exist. What kind of accident had happened? Feng Zhangxia hurriedly called out to Chen Hongzhe and Liang Jinxiao. "What are you two waiting for? Hurry up and get your sister-in-law out of the water. Don't let her soak in the water for too long. She will stink." Only then did Chen Zhoujing and Liang Jinxiao come back to their senses. They opened their mouths and hurriedly responded. Then they followed Feng Zhangxia to the cesspool. When they arrived at the cesspool and saw the scene inside, Chen Zhoujing and Liang Jinxiao were also shocked. They felt that Li Chuanying was really too pitiful. Compared to Hua Chunhua and Feng Zhangxia, Liang Jinxiao asked Li Chuanying with concern, "Sister-in-law, how are you? Are you okay?" Chapter 1402. Li Chuanying was very touched by Liang Jinxiao's and Chen Zhouzi's concern for her. The rest of old Zhao's family didn't care about her, but these two sisters-in-law were concerned about her. Li Chuanying's nose twitched. She shook her head and said, "It's nothing serious. I'm just a little smelly. I can't get up from the dung." Liang Jinxiao stepped forward and said, "Second sister-in-law, let me help you up. It's not good for you to stay in the dung." Chen Zhouzi also stepped forward and said, "Yes, second sister-in-law, let us help you up." Li Chuanying's nose twitched again. She was touched. Her second and third sisters-in-law were good people, unlike her eldest sister-in-law and her mother, who were both heartless. Li Chuanying looked gratefully at Liang Jinxiao and Chen Zhouzi and said, "Third sister-in-law, fourth sister-in-law, thank you so much." Liang Jinxiao and Chen Zhouzi shook their heads and said, "It's nothing, second sister-in-law. It's what we should do." They couldn't just ignore Li Chuanying and let her soak in the dung. After all, she was their sisters-in-law. They were family. They couldn't just leave her alone. Li Chuanying was touched. She reached out her hand and handed it over. Liang Jinxiao and Chen Zhouzi pulled Li Chuanying out of the dung. After they pulled Li Chuanying out, Li Chuanying sighed and said, "Third sister-in-law, fourth sister-in-law, you two are the only ones who don't despise me now." Liang Jinxiao and Chen Zhouzi both sighed. They felt that Li Chuanying was very pitiful for falling into the dung. How could they despise Li Chuanying? Liang Jinxiao comforted her, "Second sister-in-law, don't say any more. You have so much dung on you. It's best to go to the river and wash it. Otherwise, I'm afraid it won't be clean if you wash it at home." Chen Zhouzi agreed, "Yes, second sister-in-law. We don't have enough water at home. It'll be more convenient if you wash it at the river. You must be feeling uncomfortable now. You'll be fine after washing it. I'll get some locust for you. It'll be cleaner. After washing it, you'll smell good." Li Chuanying nodded and said, "Okay." In fact, she was thinking the same thing too. Indeed, she couldn't wash it clean at home. Her man was lying on the bed and couldn't move. Who would carry this water for her? It would be better if she went to the river, and... When Hua Chunhua saw Li Chuanying climb out of the dung, she said in disgust, "Second sister-in-law, you should go to the river and wash it. The stench on you is too pungent. It'll kill you. You can't wash it at home. Otherwise, it'll make the house very smelly." "Yes, mother. Second sister-in-law has to go to the river and wash it properly. Dozens of basins of water at home won't be enough to wash it clean. If the dirty water is poured in the courtyard, it'll be too smelly. Although Hu Chunhua and Feng Zhangxiao were telling the truth, their words were very harsh to Li Chuanying's ears. Li Chuanying's heart sank for a moment, but she didn't say anything. After experiencing this incident, she understood too much. Men were not good people. Her mother-in-law and sister-in-law were also not good people. The only good things in old Zhao's family were the third and fourth concubines. Li Chuanying felt a little guilty when she thought about what she had done to the third and fourth concubines. She was so muddle-headed that she couldn't recognize too many things. Chapter 1403. Qian Zurio couldn't stand it any longer and said to Hu Chunhua, "Mother, don't scold second sister-in-law. She's feeling bad too." Hu Chunhua snorted in her heart. Qian Zurio tugged at Li Chuanying's hand and said to Li Chuanying, "Second sister-in-law, let's go wash up by the river." Li Chuanying was very touched and nodded in response, "Okay." The few sisters-in-law came out of the latrine together. Qian Zurio took out some soap and handed it to Li Chuanying. She said to Li Chuanying, "Second sister-in-law, this soap is from my family. You can use it." Li Chuanying took it and thanked her gratefully. "Fourth sister-in-law, thank you. I'll return the soap to you later." Qian Zurio smiled and said, "Second sister-in-law, you don't have to be so polite with me. It's not a big deal. We're family. It's just a little soap. There's no need to be so calculative." Li Chuanying shook his head and said, "That's not it. Fourth sister-in-law, it's the thought that counts. Although it's just a little thing, you can't be so casual. I'll definitely return it to you later." Seeing Li Chuanying's insistence, Qian Zurio couldn't say anything else. She nodded and said, "Okay, second sister-in-law. If you want to return it, then return it. It's okay if you don't." Okay. Just as Li Chuanying was about to leave, Hu Chunhua and Feng Zhangxiao followed him to the courtyard. Hu Chunhua said to Li Chuanying, "Second sister-in-law, you've ruined the latrine. When you're done, you have to come back and clean it up properly. It's so dirty now. How are the others going to use the latrine?" Hu Chunhua didn't have any sympathy for Li Chuanying's situation. Now, not only did he not care about Li Chuanying's situation, but he even said such words. This made Li Chuanying even more bitterly disappointed. Faced with Hu Chunhua's slightly arrogant face, Li Chuanying didn't have the energy or the mood to argue with Hu Chunhua. At the same time, she knew that she was indeed responsible for what had happened to the manure tank. She nodded and replied, "Mother, I understand. Good that you know. It's not that you haven't done anything good. Even the courtyard is smelly because of you. You really can't stay here any longer. Forget it, I'd better go inside. It's too smoky outside." Hu Chunhua said and went into the room. Li Chuanying felt very uncomfortable when he saw the disgusted expression on her face. Forget it, forget it. Whatever this old woman said she would do. Naturally, she wouldn't argue with her. She just felt stifled. Looking at Li Chuanying's dejected expression, Qian Zhozha and Liang Jinxiao went forward to comfort her. Liang Jinxiao said, "Second sister-in-law, go wash up by the river first. I'll help you clean the manure tank." Li Chuanying naturally didn't want to trouble Liang Jinxiao to do this. She hurriedly waved her hand and said, "No, no, no, third sister-in-law, there's no need. How can I trouble you with such a dirty job? I'll do it myself." Liang Jinxiao smiled, "Second sister-in-law, it's okay. You'll be clean after you wash up later. If you come back to clean the manure tank, you'll get dirty again. After I'm done, I'll go wash up." Li Chuanying felt that her eyes were a little hazy, as if tears were rolling in her eyes. She was too embarrassed to let Qian Zhozha and Liang Jinxiao see her crying, so she hurriedly swallowed the tears back into her stomach. Chapter 1404. That's enough, second sister-in-law. Hurry up and go. Li Chuanying choked with sobs and hurried towards the river. After Li Chuanying's figure disappeared from old Zhao's courtyard, Qian Zhuzha went up to Liang Jinxiao and said to Liang Jinxiao, "Third sister-in-law, I feel that second sister-in-law is a little different today." Liang Jinxiao looked at Qian Zhuzha in confusion and asked, "Different? Fourth sister-in-law, what do you think is different? Are you saying that second sister-in-law is covered in feces today?" Qian Zhuzha hurriedly said, "No, no, no. Third sister-in-law, I'm not saying that second sister-in-law looks different. I just feel that second sister-in-law is different today." "Is she?" Liang Jinxiao pondered for a moment. Why didn't she notice anything different? "Third sister-in-law, Don't you think that second sister-in-law is much more polite today? If it was in the past, she would definitely be very happy to help us. She would definitely not be courteous to us. But today, second sister-in-law is not only courteous to us, she even thanked us. Qian Zhuzhe muttered in front of Liang Jinxiao. Of course, the most important thing was that Li Chuanying was not just saying it on the surface. She was being courteous to them from the bottom of her heart and thanked them. After Qian Zhuzhe said this, Liang Jinxiao felt that this was indeed the case. Not only that, Li Chuanying did not speak much today and her expression was very different from usual. Liang Jinxiao sighed and said, "Fourth sister-in-law, do you think that second sister-in-law is in trouble? Otherwise, why would she fall into the latrine pit?" "I think so." Qian Zhuzhe nodded and replied, "But we can't ask her about it. If we ask second sister-in-law, she might be even sadder." Okay. Let's not talk about it then. On the other hand, the moment Li Chuanying walked out, a foul smell attracted the attention of many people. Walking in the village, it was inevitable to bump into some people. Many people laughed when they saw Li Chuanying covered in feces. Look. Old Zhao's second daughter-in-law must have fallen into a cesspool. She's covered all over. After someone shouted, the people who wanted to join in the fun hurriedly came over and surrounded Li Chuanying. "Oh my god, he's really covered in shit. This is the first time I've seen someone fall into a dung tank." "Ah, are you blind? How could you fall into a dung tank?" "Yeah, that's too careless. What can we do? Most likely he broke the deck and fell in." "That's not it. Sometimes when people are unlucky they will be like this. Everything they do will be unlucky. I think she's been rather miserable these days. Her man cheated on her with another woman, and now she's fallen into a dung tank. Sigh, if it were me with such bad luck, I would definitely get some yellow paper and incense sticks and go to the Temple of Earth to pray. I have to get rid of the bad luck." These people chattered incessantly, which made Li Chuanying very annoyed. Hearing the discussions and ridicule of others, Li Chuanying felt that his face was burning. Needless to say, after today he would become the laughingstock of the village. Chapter 1405. The onlookers naturally ignored Li Chuanying. They continued to cover their mouths and laugh. Look at her. She fell into the latrine and didn't even let others say anything. If she can't do it, she shouldn't have come out. She came out and was seen by others. Why can't she let others say anything? That's right. Anyway, we all know. It's not a big deal if one more person sees it. It's rare for the village to see something interesting. Why can't we watch it? Facing these villagers, Li Chuanying was speechless and helpless. Since these people wanted to see it, she would let them. Li Chuanying rolled her eyes and said to the onlookers, "Fine, since you want to see it, I'll let you see it to your heart's content. Come closer and have a good look." Saying that, Li Chuanying rushed to the onlookers. If they were far away they would be able to see it. Now that they were close, they could smell the stench and risk being stained by Li Chuanying's feces. When the onlookers saw Li Chuanying rushing over, they were scared out of their wits and hurriedly ran away. Li Chuanying snorted in her heart. These people were indeed despicable. They refused to listen to her and forced her to use a special method. "Don't you want to see it? Then let's see it. Why are you running away in fear? Seriously, I didn't let you see it but you insisted. Now I let you see it but you don't want to see it. What do you want?" Hearing Li Chuanying's words, the onlookers frowned and said to Li Chuanying, "Sister Li, don't you think you're disgusting? You're covered in feces. What should we do if you get dirty when you get close to us?" "Stinks. The smell is so strong that it stinks me to death." "Hey, it's the first time I've smelled something so stinky. Old Zhao's second daughter-in-law is so stinky, but she still dares to come to us. Is she afraid that others don't know how stinky she is?" "It must be." Li Chuanying warned them coldly, "Don't talk nonsense. If I see any of you staring at me or talking about me, I'll go up to you and smoke you to death. By the way, I can't guarantee that I didn't dirty your clothes." Li Chuanying finished his words. Many people shut their mouths in fear. No one wanted to be covered in feces by Li Chuanying. Only a few gossipy women heard Li Chuanying's words and said angrily, "Why is old Zhao's second daughter-in-law so unreasonable? Why can't she show us?" As soon as the man finished speaking, he saw Li Chuanying rush over. The woman was so scared that she hurriedly ran away. After Li Chuanying's words, no one dared to go up and say anything to Li Chuanying. Let's go. Actually, there's nothing to see here." "Yeah, let's go. Stop looking. There's nothing to see here." After Li Chuanying's words, the onlookers didn't dare to continue watching. Crazy people were the scariest people these days, and they definitely couldn't be provoked. After the onlookers left, Li Chuang understood what had happened. Chapter 1406. Without the onlookers, Li Chuang felt better and continued to walk forward. Soon they arrived at the riverside. At this time there were many people washing by the riverside. Zhao Yuna was also there. Seeing Li Chuang walking over with feces all over her body, Zhao Yuna couldn't help but want to laugh. What exactly had his second aunt experienced? She looked so pitiful. However, in Zhao Yun's opinion, Li Chuang was not a good person. She didn't have any pity for Li Chuang's experience. Zhao Yun guessed that it was most likely Li Chuang's own death. The fact was similar to Zhao Yun's guess. Li Chuang also realized that her stomach was in pain. She had diarrhea like this. It may be because she stole the third branch's sour plum soup. That soup was cold. It was easy to have diarrhea after drinking too much. Li Chuang was very regretful. Not only had she done something wrong to her third sister-in-law, but she had also caused trouble for herself. Now that she thought about it, it was God's punishment for her. In the future, even if she did this kind of thing, she would never harm the third branch or the fourth branch. She would only target the other heartless people in old Zhao's family. After arriving at the riverside, Zhao Yun just watched the show quietly. The women washing by the riverside had already started to talk about it. Look, what happened to old Zhao's daughter-in-law? Yeah, why is she covered in feces? Ha, she must have fallen into the feces vat. It's the first time I've heard of someone falling into a feces vat. Ah, it's so funny. I guess we'll laugh for a long time. It's the first time I've seen such a thing. How stupid can she be to fall into a feces vat? Haha, I don't know. But looking at her, she'll become famous in our village. Maybe it will spread to other villages. As the saying goes, good news never stays hidden, but bad news travels for 1,000 miles. Later on, old Zhao's second daughter-in-law will definitely be famous within a radius of a few hundred miles. Li Chuang's mouth twitched when she heard the women's laughter. The louder they laughed, the angrier she got. It was a pity that their mouths were grown on other people's mouths, and these people didn't gather in front of her to look at her, so she couldn't make a fuss. Li Chuang's face darkened. He decided to ignore these people. The most important thing was to wash her body clean. Her body was so smelly that she almost couldn't take it anymore. Li Chuang's indifferent reaction made these people feel very bored. What they wanted to see was naturally Li Chuang's embarrassed and vexed expression. The closer Li Chuang got to the river, the more these people covered their noses and said, "It stinks, it stinks." The closer they get to us, the stronger the smell. We can't be smothered. Li Chuang, what do you want to do? Why do you have to walk towards us? Don't you know you stink? Seriously. How can she walk towards us and scold us? If we hide at home, we won't come out. Li Chuang, don't come here. What are you doing here? Go away, go away. Li Chuang was urged by several women in disgust. Chapter 1407. Hearing that Li Chuang was going to take a bath, the women by the river couldn't stay calm. If Li Chuang was going to take a bath under normal circumstances, it wouldn't be a big deal. However, in this situation, the water by the river would be smelly after taking a bath. They were either washing clothes or vegetables. What would they do if the water got dirty? The women by the river stopped Li Chuang and argued with Li Chuang. Li Chuang, you can't take a bath in the river. Exactly. If the water gets dirty, where can we go to take a bath? Li Chuang, this river doesn't belong to only you. If you want to take a bath, go somewhere else. We still have to wash clothes and vegetables. You can't just think about yourself and ignore the rest of us. She was stopped by the women by the river, who didn't allow her to go forward. Li Chuang realized that it wasn't a good idea for her to do so. In addition, the women's cold words and obstruction made Li Chuang give up. If they didn't allow her to take a bath here, she could just go downstream. If she went downstream, it wouldn't affect anyone, so they wouldn't say anything. Then I'll go downstream. Li Chuang murmured, then turned around and left. Li Chuang's back looked lonely, and Li Chuang, who was covered in feces, looked very embarrassed. For some reason, Zhao Yun suddenly felt that Li Chuang was very pitiful. She even sympathized with her. Most importantly, Zhao Yun found that Li Chuang seemed to be different from before. According to Li Chuang's character, shouldn't she argue with these women? Why was she suddenly so nice today? After Li Chuang's back disappeared, the women began to talk about it again. Well, Li Chuang is honest and sensible. If she didn't know what's good for her, I would definitely teach her a lesson. How can she not know what's good for her? It's embarrassing for her. How can she dare to be dishonest? That's true. Since she has done something embarrassing, she shouldn't have come out to make a fool of herself. Of course. If it were us, we wouldn't say anything either. After washing her hands, Zhao Yun didn't continue to listen to the other women's discussion. She took the wooden basin back. Li Chuanying went downstream to the river, took off her clothes and washed them carefully. Luckily, there was no one else downstream, so she didn't have to worry about her naked body. As soon as she took off her clothes, the disgusting smell became stronger. Li Chuanying couldn't help but feel a little nauseous. Li Chuanying hurriedly floated her clothes in the water. When there was less dirt on them, she rubbed them with her hands and poured some soap on them. The most difficult thing to wash was her own body. She had to wash it thoroughly from top to bottom. She applied a lot of soap and rubbed her clothes repeatedly in the water, but there was still the smell of feces. Li Chuanying could only sigh. She estimated that she couldn't wash herself clean. This kind of smell could only be removed after a few days. After washing for about an hour, Li Chuanying almost used up all the strength in her body. She slowly climbed out of the water. When she turned around, she found a man staring at her on the shore. Everyone in the village knew this man. He was Lu San. Chapter 1408. You shameless man. How dare you peek at me bathing? I'm going to gouge your eyes out. Bah. Li Chuanying spat on the ground as she spoke. Lu San glanced at Li Chuanying indifferently and said to Li Chuanying, "So what? I didn't come over to see you on purpose. Why don't you take a look at yourself? Who wants to see you?" He had already seen her, and now he said such sarcastic words. Li Chuanying was furious. This Lu San was simply taking advantage of her. Then why are you still looking? Shameless man, aren't you afraid of being scolded? Being scolded by Li Chuanying, Lu San also lost his temper. You bitch, are you done yet? I think you're Renjing. With such a face, which man would like you? Lu San's words pierced Li Chuanying's heart. Wasn't her man looking for Widow Qian because she wasn't good-looking? If she was good-looking, it would not be like this. Li Chuanying's face revealed a trace of sadness, but Lu San continued to coldly snort and said, "It's simply an eyesore. Now that I've seen it, I feel disgusted. It's better to go look at other little beauties." With that, Lu San prepared to leave. Li Chuanying grabbed Lu San very unhappily and said to Lu San, "What are you talking about? You took advantage of her and now you're saying you're the one who suffered losses? What do you want? Hurry up and let go of me, or I won't be polite to you." Li Chuanying put her hands on her waist and stared at Lu San angrily. "Won't be polite? Tell me, how are you going to be rude to me? Stinky man, you're shameless. Hey, you're being unreasonable, bitch. I'm giving you face but you don't want it. Fine, I'll teach you a lesson today. Let's see if you still dare to talk nonsense." With that, Lu San raised his fist and swung it in Li Chuanying's direction. Just as Li Chuanying was about to dodge, a man suddenly rushed out of the woods. A man hitting a woman. "Where's your face?" a deep and hoarse voice said. Li Chuanying's heart trembled slightly. She looked up and glanced at the man who came. He grabbed Lu San's hand with one hand. In front of him, Lu San had no strength to refute at all. Grabbing Lu San was no different from grabbing a chicken. The reason why the man was so strong was because he was tall and sturdy. His curled arms were full of muscles and had a strong sense of strength. This kind of man is strong. Li Chuanying sighed in her heart. Li Chuanying knew the man who helped Li Chuanying. He was Zhao Ping, a bachelor in the village. His ancestors were from the same sect as old Zhao's family. Because his family was poor, he didn't have any land and his house was shabby, so he couldn't get a wife. What he did on a daily basis was hard work. He exerted his strength and developed a body full of muscles. Lu San said to Zhao Ping with displeasure, "It's my business. Mind your own business." Saying that, Lu San continued to struggle. It was a pity that Lu San did not work much and often liked to do things in bed. His body had long been hollowed out and his physique was not good at all. Against Zhao Ping he could not struggle at all and let Zhao Ping hold him in his hands. "You, let go of me right now," Lu San said in anger. "You can't. You bully a woman casually. I won't let you go unless you promise not to hurt her." Zhao Ping pointed at Li Chuanying. Chapter 1409. Okay. I promise you, okay? Let go of me." Zhao Ping snorted softly and shook off Lu San's hand. Lu San was thrown out heavily. He staggered and glanced at Zhao Ping unwillingly. Then he turned around and left. He knew that if an egg smashed a rock, the rock would break. Naturally he wouldn't touch it again. Seeing Lu San leave in a sorry state, Li Chuanying breathed a sigh of relief. Although she didn't argue with Lu San, at least she didn't have to be bullied by Lu San. "Are you okay?" Zhao Ping asked Li Chuanying with concern. Li Chuanying looked at the tall and burly Zhao Ping and felt very touched. She shook her head and said with a smile, "I'm fine." For so long there were very few people who helped and protected her. She didn't expect Zhao Ping, who didn't interact much with her, to help her. That's good. As a woman you should be careful. Next time don't get involved with Lu San. That man is not to be trifled with. Got it. Thank you for the reminder. Zhao Ping shook his head. You're welcome. I'll leave first. Okay. Looking at Zhao Ping's back, Li Chuanying couldn't help but sigh. If only her man could be as good as Zhao Ping. Unfortunately, Zhao Wenshui was definitely not half as good as Zhao Ping. Li Chuanying let out a sigh and went back. Seeing Li Chuanying come back, Liang Jinxiao came up and said to Li Chuanying, "Second sister-in-law, are you okay?" Li Chuanying shook her head and said, "I'm fine. I'm done washing up. Okay, I've also cleaned up the latrine for you. Now go change your clothes. You can't be wet. You'll catch a cold." Looking at Liang Jinxiao's concerned eyes, Li Chuanying's nose twitched and said, "Okay, I'll go change now. Third sister-in-law, thank you so much this time. You've worked hard." "All right, second sister-in-law, don't be so courteous with me. Hurry up and change your clothes." Li Chuanying nodded. Just as she was about to go in and change, she suddenly thought of something. She stopped in her tracks and stopped. "What's wrong, second sister-in-law?" "Third sister-in-law, I have something to say to you." Liang Jinxiao smiled and said, "Second sister-in-law, if you have something to say, just say it." Li Chuanying held Liang Jinxiao's hand and sighed. Third sister-in-law, second sister-in-law was muddle-headed in the past and didn't understand many things. Now that I've thought it through, I know who's not nice to me. Third sister-in-law, second sister-in-law used to make things difficult for you. Don't take it to heart. Second sister-in-law won't do it again in the future. Hearing Li Chuanying's words, Liang Jinxiao couldn't help but feel a little strange, but more than that he was shocked and couldn't believe it. If someone else had said this, it would have been normal. But Li Chuanying really didn't sound normal. But when he met Li Chuanying's eyes, he saw that they were very sincere. "Second sister-in-law, what are you talking about? Let the past be the past. People should look forward." "Yes, yes." Li Chuanying nodded vigorously and responded. Then she returned to the second branch's room. Liang Jinxiao looked at Li Chuanying's back view and muttered in his heart. It seemed that his second sister-in-law was really starting to change for the better. It was naturally a good thing that Li Chuanying could change for the better. Originally, relatives should help each other more and not bicker and fuss over every little thing. Chapter 1410. No one would have thought that Li Chuanying's change was because of a tank of dung. It was ridiculous and sad. Liang Jinxiao shook her head and the corners of her mouth curled up slightly. She then followed him into her room. As soon as Li Chuanying returned to the second branch's room, Zhao Wenshui scolded Li Chuanying, "You stinky woman, you have guts. You dare to leave your husband hanging and not listen to him. Your skin is too thick. You need to be taught a lesson, right?" If it had been before, Li Chuanying might have humbled herself in front of Zhao Wenshui and coaxed Zhao Wenshui. Now she thought it through. Why should she treat Zhao Wenshui well in front of such a heartless man? He then replied to Zhao Wenshui indifferently, "Zhao Wenshui, you have to act with some conscience. How can you have the nerve to say such things? Why should I listen to you?" Hearing Li Chuanying's reply, Zhao Wenshui lost his temper. "Fine. Are you trying to piss me off? I'm your husband. Why don't you listen to me? Which woman in the village doesn't listen to her husband? Don't tell me you're the exception?" Li Chuanying was also unconvinced. "Zhao Wenshui, my husband is a man. Are you the same? Ask yourself, are you worthy of me for what you've done?" Zhao Wenshui understood that Li Chuanying was referring to his affair with Widow Qian, so he grumbled unhappily, "So what? It's normal for a man to sleep with a woman. Didn't I sleep with Widow Qian? Don't people go to brothels to visit prostitutes? At least I didn't do that." Li Chuanying snorted. She didn't know why Zhao Wenshui dared to say that. If it were her, she would never say that. "Zhao Wenshui, you don't have money. If you did, you would sleep with women in brothels too. I really misjudged you, that's why I married you back then." Zhao Wenshui was infuriated by Li Chuanying's words. What was this bitch talking about? "Li Chuanying, who do you think you are? If you don't listen to me and talk to me like that, I'll divorce you." Zhao Wenshui thought that his words could scare Li Chuang. Unfortunately, to Zhao Wenshui's disappointment, Li Chuang replied with disdain. Fine, Zhao Wenshui. I'm a woman. I'm afraid that I won't be able to get married again. But you? Let's see who will serve you without me. Let's see if your mother is willing to spend money to marry another wife for you. Zhao Wenshui was speechless after being scolded by Li Chuang. Without a doubt, Li Chuang was right. Without Li Chuang, there would be no one to serve him. As for his mother, money was extremely important. If he asked his mother to spend money to marry him, then forget it. He couldn't count on her at all. Zhao Wenshui couldn't help but look at Li Chuang again. He was puzzled. When did his wife become so smart? It wasn't easy for her to think of this. Seeing that Zhao Wenshui was silent, Li Chuang didn't continue to talk to Zhao Wenshui. She opened the closet and found a set of clean clothes to change into. On the other side, Zhao Yun saw a carriage parked in front of her house after she returned with the wooden basin. Chapter 14:11. Why did this fellow come to her place? Zhao Yuner walked over. Helianqin was already in Zhao Yuner's rundown house, and Mu Lianfeng was attending to him at the side. In the house, Helianqin sat in front of the table, holding a bowl and drinking from it. As he drank, he praised Mu Lianfeng. Ah Feng, don't say, this thing is really delicious. Mu Lianfeng's lips curled into a smile as he explained to Mu Lianfeng, Yuner made it. I knew it. Miss Yuner has a lot of ideas and can always make unexpected things. We can't buy these novel foods even if we spend money. Yes. Mu Lianfeng was even happier when he heard Helianqin praise Zhao Yuner than when Helianqin praised him. Ah Feng, you're really lucky. You've eaten a lot of good things by Miss Yuner's side, right? Helianqin looked at Mu Lianfeng with envy. Mu Lianfeng raised his eyebrows and said with a smile, What do you think? I think so. Ah Feng, it's not that I want to say this, but if I marry a woman like Miss Yuner in the future, I'll be overjoyed, Helianqin muttered. Mu Lianfeng curled his lips and replied indifferently, This kind of fortune isn't something that everyone can get, so you can only think about it. Helianqin glared angrily at Mu Lianfeng and said to Mu Lianfeng, Ah Feng, can't you speak properly? Do you have to make people sad before you're happy? Mu Lianfeng held back his laughter and didn't say anything else. Helianqin swallowed the bowl of sour plum soup and begged Mu Lianfeng, Ah Feng, look, I've already finished it. Mu Lianfeng replied faintly. Feng, can you help me get some more? Mu Lianfeng frowned and said to Helianqin, You've already drunk 2 bowls. You can't drink any more. If you drink any more, you'll have a stomachache. However, Helianqin did not think so. Ah Feng, don't lie to me. It's hard to say if my stomach is upset or not. My stomach is good, so it's fine to eat cold things. I think you're saying that because you can't bear to let me drink it, right? Mu Lianfeng looked at Helianqin speechlessly. How heartless did he have to be to say such things? Moreover, Helianqin was already an adult, but he was like a child and was extremely greedy. Mu Lianfeng wanted to laugh at Helianqin, but he also felt very helpless. Ah Qin, there's a saying that goes, enough is enough. Don't you understand? Ah Feng, don't be so stingy. Give me another bowl. Mu Lianfeng looked at Helianqin acting coquettishly and could not help but say, How old are you? This has nothing to do with age. Who said that you have to keep your mouth shut when you're old? Mu Lianfeng realized that he could not continue to communicate with Helianqin. Helianqin shamelessly continued to tug at Mu Lianfeng's sleeve and begged, Ah Feng, I definitely won't be able to drink it when I go back. How about this? Give me another bowl. If I drink another bowl, I promise I won't drink it again. Looking into Helianqin's pleading eyes, Mu Lianfeng rolled his eyes at Helianqin and said to Helianqin, Ah Qin, you said the same thing just now. Do you think I'll believe you? Helianqin felt very embarrassed after being exposed by Mu Lianfeng. Chapter 14:12. Mu Lianfeng felt a little wronged. Heartless people were like this. Those with a conscience would definitely not say such things. Alright, you can say whatever you want. I don't care. You. Helianqin glared at Mu Lianfeng angrily and continued to mutter that Mu Lianfeng was too petty. Zhao Yuner could not help but shake her head when she saw Helianqin's appearance. When a man acted coquettishly, he was even more powerful than a woman. Zhao Yuner could not stand Helianqin's tone when he spoke to Mu Lianfeng. Fortunately, Helianqin was a man. If Helianqin was a woman, she would definitely not let Mu Lianfeng and Helianqin have too much contact. After all, women who acted coquettishly were the scariest. Men were easily charmed by women who acted coquettishly. Zhao Yun walked into the house and smiled at Mu Lianfeng. Since she wants to drink, you can give it to her. It's not like our house doesn't have it. When Helianchen saw Zhao Yun come in, he said with a smile, "Ah, Miss Yun is back." Zhao Yun nodded lightly and responded. Helianchen hurriedly said, "Ah Feng, look, Miss Yun is still the best. She's not as petty as you." The corner of Mu Lianfeng's mouth twitched. He should not have been soft-hearted and cared about Helianchen's life and death. So he said, "Since you want to eat, you can eat. I won't stop you. But if your stomach hurts, don't blame me for not reminding you." Helianchen hurriedly nodded and replied, I know. Other people have stomachaches, but I won't." Mu Lianfeng was speechless. A dead pig was not afraid of boiling water. This Helianchen probably would not listen no matter what he said. Since that was the case, then forget it. If he said too much, it would only make people despise him. Why should he do such a thing? "Well, since you said so, then go ahead and drink," Mu Lianfeng said helplessly. Zhao Yun took the bowl that Helianchen had drunk from and said to Helianchen, "I'll go get it." Helianchen was flattered as he looked at Zhao Yun. He immediately nodded and said, Sure. Thank you, Miss Yun." Zhao Yun shook her head, the corner of her mouth slightly raised, and said with a smile, "You're welcome." Since they said that Mu Lianfeng had no conscience, then let Helianchen drink more. When the time came for her stomach to hurt, she would know who was the heartless one. Mu Lianfeng caught a hint of craftiness in Zhao Yun's eyes and understood that Zhao Yun probably had some bad intentions again. Sometimes, his Yun still made people feel that she was very cute when she was up to mischief. Zhao Yun quickly scooped a bowl of sour plum soup and placed it on the table, beckoning Helianchen to drink. Helianchen's face was filled with unconcealable excitement and happiness. He held the sour plum soup that Zhao Yun gave him and drank it happily. Seeing this, Zhao Yun's smile became even brighter. Drink. You'll probably have a stomachache soon." She specially added a few more ice cubes. After Helianchen finished the bowl of sour plum soup, he licked the corner of his mouth as if he had not had enough and used his long sleeve to wipe the corner of his mouth. "Miss Yun, this is delicious," Helianchen exclaimed with a smile in front of Mu Lianfeng. "Young Master Helian, do you still want a drink? Do you want me to scoop some more for you?" Zhao Yun's enthusiasm and politeness made Helianchen a little embarrassed. Chapter 14-13. Helianchen looked at Mu Lianfeng and asked for Mu Lianfeng's opinion, as if he was afraid that Mu Lianfeng would not agree. If it was just now, Mu Lianfeng would probably stop Helianchen. After knowing Zhao Yun's intention, he replied indifferently, "If you want to drink, then drink. I won't really stop you and not let you drink." Helianchen laughed cheekily and said, "Ah Feng, it's good that you said that. If you don't allow it, I definitely won't drink it." Mu Lianfeng's mouth twitched. This guy, who was he trying to fool? Probably only a ghost would believe him if he said this, right? All right. So much nonsense. How can I not know what you're thinking? Helianchen felt like he was seen through by Mu Lianfeng. This friend who grew up with him was different. He could fool anyone, but he could not fool Mu Lianfeng. Helianchen hurriedly handed the bowl to Zhao Yun and said to Zhao Yun, "Miss Yun, I'll have to trouble you to get me another bowl." Zhao Yun said with a smile, "It's fine. You can drink as many bowls as you want. Anyway, I have a lot at home and can't finish it." With Zhao Yun's words and Mu Lianfeng's agreement, Helianchen prepared to drink without worry. Very quickly, Zhao Yun got another bowl for Helianchen. Helianchen gulped and drank the big bowl. Seeing that Helianchen finished drinking, Zhao Yun continued to fill Helianchen's bowl. After Helianchen drank 3 more bowls, he let out a loud burp and could not drink any more. "I'm full, I'm satisfied. Miss Yun, you don't have to buy more for me. Thank you so much." "You're welcome. It's fine as long as you're done drinking. Our family doesn't lack this stuff. If young Master Helian wants to drink it, we'll definitely give it to young Master Helian. Otherwise, wouldn't young Master Helian say that we're too stingy? We can't even bear to part with such a small thing." Helianchen smiled embarrassedly. "That won't happen. I know that Miss Yun is very generous. At least she's much more generous than Ah Feng." Zhao Yun also smiled faintly. She felt that Helianchen's appearance was a little cute. "Well, since you've finished drinking and Yun is back, you can tell me why you're here today," Mu Lianfeng said. Helianchen patted his head and finally remembered. Indeed, he should get down to business. After being interrupted, he immediately forgot the purpose of his visit today. Thus, he hurriedly gestured for Zhao Yuner to sit down and said to Zhao Yuner, "Miss Yuner, please take a seat." Zhao Yuner nodded. After sitting down, she said to Helian Qin, "Young Master Helian, what's the matter?" "Miss Yuner, I drank your tea last time and felt that it was very good, so I wanted to ask if you're still selling this tea?" Zhao Yuner nodded and replied, "Of course I'm buying it." "Then how much do you have here?" "How much does young Master Helian want?" "I'll take as much as you have." Zhao Yuner raised her brows. After staring at Helian Qin, she said to Helian Qin, "Young Master Helian, are you drinking it for yourself? If you're drinking it for yourself, you shouldn't need much, right?" Zhao Yuner hit the nail on the head. Helian Qin smiled and said, "To be honest, Miss Yuner, I naturally won't drink this tea alone. I just feel that this is a good thing and want to give it to someone as a gift. Miss Yuner also knows that the rarer something is, the more precious it is. It's precisely those things that others haven't seen before that appear very precious." Chapter 14:14. Young Master Helian, if you drink it alone, I can give you some. But if you give it away everywhere, I'm afraid that I don't have enough tea leaves for you. Hearing Zhao Yuner's words, Helian Chen's eyes revealed a trace of disappointment. He lamented to Zhao Yuner, "Miss Yuner, why don't you have more of such good stuff? Can't you get more?" Zhao Yuner also said helplessly, "I want more but unfortunately I can't. There's nothing I can do." "All right then, Miss Yuner, then I won't give it away. I'll drink it myself." Zhao Yuner nodded. "All right, I can give you 2 caddies. Drink it sparingly. It should be enough to drink for a while. Just 2 caddies. Miss Yuner, can you give me more?" Helian Qin stared at Zhao Yuner with pleading eyes and blinked. Zhao Yuner chuckled, "Young Master Helian, I'll give you 2 caddies. It's already a lot. The other customers are also waiting for it." What she needed to do now was to expand the market. The goods in her hands would definitely not be distributed to just one person. There were so many customers waiting. She could not let them wait forever. "All right then." Helian Chen's disappointed expression made one's heart ache. Zhao Yuner curled her lips helplessly. She had no choice. She could only do this now. When the tea leaves planted on her barren mountain could be harvested, the amount of tea leaves produced would naturally be more. "Young Master Helian, I'll go get it for you," Zhao Yuner said and took out 2 caddies. She directly put them in a bag and handed it to Helian Qin. "Young Master Helian, these tea leaves can be placed in a dry place. Don't let them get wet." "Got it, Miss Yuner. There's one more thing I want to discuss with you." Zhao Yuner looked at Helian Qin with some confusion and said, "Young Master Helian, what else do you want?" Miss Yuner, there's still some sour plum soup left in your house. Can I bring some back?" After Helian Qin finished speaking, he suddenly felt that he had drunk enough. If he were to ask Zhao Yuner to bring some back for him, it would seem a little unkind. He hurriedly corrected himself, "Miss Yuner, this is a rare thing. You don't have to give it to me for free. I will pay for it. I don't care how much it costs. Since young Master Helian likes to drink it, I'll pack some for you. You don't have to pay. After all, you are Mu Lianfeng's friend, so if I haggle over such a small matter with you, wouldn't it make me seem too petty?" Helian Qin smiled. "Miss Yuner can't say that. Although I'm Ah Feng's friend, the things you have here are all good and not ordinary. Since Yuner says so, I won't charge you for today's sour plum soup. If you want to drink it in the future, I'll give you 50 copper coins for a pot of sour plum soup." 50 copper coins was not a small amount, but for such a rare thing the price was not very expensive. If she went out to buy it in the future, it would be the same price. To the rich Helian Qin, 50 copper coins was even less of a problem. Helian Qin nodded and agreed without hesitation. "Then we'll do as Miss Yuner says." "All right then." Zhao Yuner readily entered the kitchen and filled a pot for Helian Qin. After dividing it up, there was only a little bit left in the large pot of sour plum soup. At night, their family could settle it by drinking a small bowl each. Helian Qin, who received the sour plum soup, was very happy. Chapter 14:15. In this kind of weather, the Helian residents had already made some ice to make some iced meals. Not long after Helian Qin took the sour plum soup from Zhao Yuner, he felt a sharp pain in his stomach. Zhao Yuner hurriedly asked, "Young Master Helian, what's wrong?" Mu Lianfeng also glanced at Helian Qin. Seeing that Helian Qin's expression was a little distorted, he said, "Ah Qin, is your stomach hurting?" Although this was the truth, Helianchen thought about how Mu Lianfeng advised him not to drink too much just now, but he said those words. Now that the truth was like this, it was a slap to his face for what he said just now. His face flushed slightly. Helianchen felt a little embarrassed. For his own face, even if his stomach hurt, Helianchen still pretended that nothing was wrong. He said to Mu Lianfeng, No, Ah Feng, what are you talking about? I just drank too much and felt uncomfortable. However, Mu Lianfeng did not believe Helianchen's words. He said with a faint smile, Is that so? Of course. All right, since your stomach doesn't hurt, then it's fine. Mu Lianfeng glanced at Helianchen. His gaze seemed to have a deeper meaning. Zhao Yuner also pursed her lips and snickered. She knew that Helianchen was trying to be brave. It was probably the sour plum soup that he drank into his stomach that caused Helianchen to have a stomachache. Helianchen controlled the expression on his face and tried his best to hold it in. Unfortunately, his stomach was still very noisy. That sharp pain caused Helianchen's forehead to break out in cold sweat. When Mu Lianfeng saw this, he asked Helianchen with concern, Ah Chen, your face is covered in sweat. Why is it so hot? Helianchen touched his forehead. There was indeed quite a lot of sweat. He smiled awkwardly at Mu Lianfeng and said, Ah Feng, I'm too hot. This weather is really hot to the point of death. Look, there are so many sweat beads on my forehead because of the heat. Is that so? Of course, the weather is really getting hotter and hotter. Helianchen muttered to himself. Seeing Helianchen like this, Mu Lianfeng did not continue to say anything. Helianchen could not hold it in anymore. He said goodbye to Mu Lianfeng. Ah Feng, it's getting late. I'll go back first. I'll come and see you next time when I have time. Just as Helianchen wanted to rush out, Zhao Yuner pulled Helianchen and said, Chen, it's only been a short while and you're in a hurry to go back. It's not easy for you to come. What do you mean you don't want to stay? Why don't we leave after dinner? That way we can have a good chat. Helianchen looked at Mu Lianfeng with a bitter face and said to him, Feng, although I want to chat with you for a while longer, I'm afraid that it will be too late after dinner. It won't be convenient for me to go back. Mu Lianfeng ignored Helianchen's refusal and chuckled. Then don't eat dinner. You can always sit for a while more. Helianchen furrowed his brows. There was a feeling of suffering that he could not describe. Feng, let's talk about it next time. Don't tell me you have something urgent? After asking, Mu Lianfeng muttered to himself again, I don't think so. If you had something urgent, you wouldn't have come today. Continue to sit for a while more. Don't be in a hurry to leave. Chapter 14-16. Alright, you don't have to say any more. Stay a little longer. When Helianchen saw that Mu Lianfeng and Zhao Yuner were echoing each other, Helianchen could not refuse at all. He could only nod and say, Alright. Then I'll stay a little longer before leaving. Although Helianchen stayed, sitting on the chair was as if he was doing acupuncture. It was abnormally uncomfortable. His stomach was tossing and turning. He simply felt like he was better off dead. However, on the surface he pretended that nothing had happened. Helianchen was very tired in his heart. At the same time he was very regretful. Why did he not listen to Mu Lianfeng's words? If he had listened to Mu Lianfeng, it would definitely not have led to such a situation and end up like this. After his stomach hurt for a while, Helianchen realized that he wanted to sh*t. What am I going to do now? He could still barely endure the pain, but if he wanted to sh*t, there was no way he could hold it in at all. Helianchen sat on the stool and rubbed his butt. In order to hold the thing in his stomach back, he could only clamp it into his anus. Mu Lianfeng and Helianchen chatted intermittently. However, Helianchen did not listen to Mu Lianfeng's words at all and answered intermittently. Seeing that Helianchen was absent-minded, Mu Lianfeng knew that Helianchen must be feeling very uncomfortable holding it in. He smiled and said to Helianchen, Ah Chen, you look very uncomfortable. Helianchen met Mu Lianfeng's probing eyes and replied nervously, Is that so? Of course. I'm fine. Helianchen was still very stubborn. As soon as he said this, his anus could not hold it in anymore and let out a loud fart. An unpleasant smell suddenly came from the room, and even the air became silent. Zhao Yuner and Mu Lianfeng hurriedly covered their noses. Helianchen, on the other hand, seemed very embarrassed. Most of the time they felt embarrassed. Seeing Helianchen's embarrassed look, Mu Lianfeng could only say, Ah Chen, if your stomach doesn't feel well, you should go to the latrine. Helianchen's face immediately turned red. He looked at Mu Lianfeng, then looked at Zhao Yuner, who was stifling her laughter. He wished he could find a hole to crawl into. Go quickly, it won't be good if you get it in your pants. Mu Lianfeng's tone carried a trace of teasing, causing Helian Chen's face to turn red. He didn't know what to say. However, Mu Lianfeng was right about one thing. If she continued to hold it in, it was likely that she would really defecate into her pants. Although it was a little embarrassing, compared to the pain he was in now, Helian Chen decided that it was better to go and take a dump. If it ended up in his pants, there was absolutely nothing more embarrassing than this. Who knew how Mu Lianfeng would laugh at him when he turned around? After thinking about it, Helian Chen hurriedly nodded and said, "Okay, but where is the latrine?" Zhao Yuner pointed to the back of the room and said, "It's behind. You'll see it when you go there." Helian Chen nodded heavily and rushed out of the room like the wind. It was not until Helian Chen rushed out and disappeared without a trace that Mu Lianfeng muttered, "Yuner, this is the result of suffering because of your pride." Zhao Yuner replied with a smile, "Exactly. I already reminded him not to drink too much of this thing, but he just didn't listen." That you're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.